was close to dying multiple times. Almost needed to get my leg amputated, 24 hours away from death. If you can try to ask, not why is this happening to me, but how is this happening for me? It shifted my entire perspective on life. What will always get me through hard times in life is knowing that there are certain laws that this universe works by. The law of conservation of energy. Energy can't be created or destroyed. Proves that death is an illusion.
I've seen that death is a fallacy. I'm not so worried that this is the end. But with reincarnation, it's not like, oh, I was a miner back in 1752.
At 1752 exists 200 light years away from you.
Yes, and it's happening right now.
I think the biggest mistake that we made in the world today is only dealing with things from the level of the physical plane. And that's kind of dumb.
So you lost your dad about a year ago, which I share. My dad died last January. So a little over a year ago. Year and a couple weeks. What was that experience like for you?
Such a good question. It was the hardest time of my life, and I grew so much from it. So also the best time of my life, but that sounds weird because my dad died. My dad was my best friend, still is my best friend. I don't speak about him in past tense because I feel him. I feel him everywhere I go. I feel like he uses me in ways, like from the other side in a unique way. It's an honor to be able to do that. He was a powerhouse in every possible way. And it was unexpected. It was actually a medical error, third leading cause of death in America, medical error. And he was 62.
Oh, wow.
Super young. I'm 28. Wow. He was 62. And
that's really young. I'm 55.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah. And what made it extremely difficult, but also a very powerful experience is that I was with him when it happened in the last 30 seconds, because it happened very fast with certain malfunctions of the medical system and whatever it may be. And I was the last person he saw before he passed. I saw him pass. It was the most traumatizing experience I've ever experienced in my life. And yet, if I could go back and do it all over again, I wouldn't change a thing, because it was the first time I got to see somebody pass. It was the first time I got to see the transition happen. And what I saw, not everybody has seen a dead person before, or I should say a dead body, because that's really what it is. But what I saw, you know, your eyes have like light in them right now. We're looking at each other and there's light. And when there's no soul in the body anymore, when there's no animating force, the eye becomes faded, almost like there's no light, but it looks like the person's like blind or they have a film over their eye. And I got to see him from the light in his eyes to the faded eyes. And the reason why that helped me so much, as horrible as it was to see, was because, look, I've written books and I speak all around the world about the idea of death and the fact that it doesn't actually exist. And words are words until they're put into action. And this was put into action. It was the first time in my life that I was able to see all of my teachings in real time and actually be tested by them. It was the first time I saw somebody pass. It was the first time I saw that with the eyes. And interestingly enough, when I buried him 12 hours later, because we come from a Jewish family, and the Jewish tradition, you bury as soon as possible. So he passed away March 5th at like 1 a.m. We buried him March 5th at 2 p.m. So 13 hours later. And there were a lot of people at the funeral. And I gave us the best speech I could, crying my eyes out. And I said something that I really meant. I said, you know, this experience that I just saw, and everything that my father's taught me, but this experience that I just went through, it proved to me that in this very moment at the funeral, in this very moment, I'm not burying my father. I'm burying my father's body. And there's a very big difference between the two. Because sure, okay, his body decomposed and is now going to recompose into something else. But when I was able to see that through this traumatic experience, I share what I just said of, I didn't bury my father. I buried my father's body as much as I can, because there are two things that are guaranteed in life: birth and death. And they're one and the same. They're just different parts of the cycle of life. So everybody is going to experience somebody close to them die. And that little nugget of the difference, the true difference between burying the body and burying the, whatever you want to call it, him, which is not the body, helped me get through it. And a lot of what I do today is in his honor. He was very, very, very focused on alternative health and wellness. He was banned from Sloan Kettering Hospital because every single time he would walk in when somebody needed help, they would walk out, and the hospital got upset because that's like $500,000 a
Losing
person.
customers.
Yeah. And he was not a doctor or scientist. He was a real estate guy with a passion in alternative health and wellness. And I feel like what I'm doing today is continuing his legacy in a more professional way, if you will. But the guy helped so many people, and I want to keep that going if I can.
That's beautiful. Yeah, there's a lot of parallels, and I think in our experience of the passing, and also sounds like our dads too were similar. My dad was a business guy into real estate, but was also really into fringe, alternative medicine and healing and stuff like that. He was a big inspiration to me. And I found out about a lot of things through him. And he's like not a redneck, but like a Colorado mountain hunting, fishing, rodeo cowboy kind of guy. Like you'd never look at him, never did drugs, you know what I mean? Real like conservative. That's the word I'm looking for. But yeah, back in like the 90s, early 90s, he was doing hyperbaric chambers and all this kind of stuff and taking all these supplements. And that's kind of what inspired me to get into it, I think, in the beginning. But it's cool to have someone in your life in a mentorship capacity that's multifaceted. Because I'd call him and ask him about business stuff and also, things about healing and different ways to approach aging gracefully.
You're doing quite well.
Yeah, man. I mean, I just like to feel good. You know what I'm saying? I'm pretty obsessive about all this stuff, admittedly. But, I was thinking about it the other day. I haven't been sick, knock on wood, since November 2020.
Wow.
And I don't really track time that well, but I was like, that's pretty cool. There was a time in my life when, like I'd get seasonal colds and the flu and this kind of stuff. And I just hated that feeling of not being able to be in my full capacity. I mean, everyone hates being sick, right? It sucks. So I just think a lot of the work I put into this stuff is just like, how can I avoid that and just feel awesome all the time? So
how funny is it that you're saying like the seasonal sickness that most people get? That only happens to humans. Like there's no species that, gets sick like it's a business cycle.
That's a good point.
Like think about that.
Yeah.
And then ironically enough, we're the only people that inject against it, and we're the only people that get it. And yet you go to the animal kingdom and they don't do any of that. And they also don't get any of that. So I wonder if there's a connection.
So true.
I don't know. I'm just putting it out there.
Well, I've had some people on the show that have made some pretty compelling cases for, not cases for, but negating the idea of germ theory and contagion and all that have been really interesting to me and helped me to kind of rethink all of that. Mm-hmm. Even to the point where I'll hear someone say like, oh, I was just over at this house and everyone was sick. I hope I don't get sick. And I think like, that's impossible. There might be some other signaling going on to like encourage you to start detoxing, which is what I think most sickness is. But yeah, it's been pretty liberating just kind of changing my perspective on that. And I'm less afraid, of like washing my hands or being around someone that has a cold. It's like, I don't know.
Well, I think the more you sanitize, you're actually doing the opposite because you're not letting your body create the layers of defense that it would naturally have. But one of the things, and again, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a scientist, I'm just a curious guy. And I think that because of that I don't understand terminology for med school and all that, because I was never taught that. There's actually a pro to that, where you can simplify things in an easier way to understand. So with the whole like contagion myth and all that, I like breaking it down to the law of synchronization with your environment. So if you are around a lot of people that are sick, will you get sick? You may, but the mechanism is what we're arguing about.
That's the point. Yeah.
Right? The mechanism is the debate. So some say you got it from them, but I've been around a lot of sick people and I didn't get sick. So why didn't, if we're talking about science and the scientific method, if you're going to make a scientific statement, you need to be able to repeat that over and over again. And when one person is around a sick person and gets sick, and then another person is around that same person and doesn't get sick, you see that there's something going on that doesn't fit this method, or it's not exactly what we're saying. So yeah, are there germs in the world? Yeah. But right now, I mean, we're literally exchanging millions and billions of germs and viruses, if you believe in that.
I don't think I do at this point.
I understand, and people talk about exosomes, but whatever.
Dude, I had a guy on here the other day, which was an amazing episode on DNA, you know, and I've never looked into DNA, right? But he, you know, was very convincing, and the story, he's a clinician and he works with people, you know, based on their DNA profile in terms of what supplements and exercise and lifestyle choices they can make that are most compatible with their genes. And I was super into it. I mean, I still am, but then the very next day I was on Twitter or somewhere, and it was like, I forget who it was, maybe my friend Alex Zach, someone that I respect. He was like, oh, DNA's fake. It's like viruses. So I was like, oh God. Every time I do a podcast about something, that I realize, like, wait, there's a whole group of people, a small contingent of people that have debunked this thing. So it's funny. It's hard to keep up because we're just so conditioned to believe in certain things, you know. But with the contagion thing, one that's always got me is like, when you have a group of females that are together for a period of time,
Her menstrual cycles,
their cycles start to sync. And we would never think like, oh, you caught a period from me. I went to this party, a bunch of women were on their cycle and I caught it. You know, it's like, it doesn't work like that. There's something about, you said the
they're synchronizing with their environment.
It's like there's a coherence, you know, things kind of coalesce together in a way that makes it look like causation when in reality it's actually correlation.
Yep.
There's a sympathetic sort of response, you know.
And it's like, it's just interesting with how it works. But when you read between the lines, by the way, that's how this works. It's the law of synchronization with your environment. Create a coherent environment, synchronize with coherency. Create a distorted environment, synchronize with distortion. It's a pretty simple thing that we can go into the complexities of, but that's not worth anything before understanding the foundation. The foundation of health versus disease is much simpler than we've been told. Health is energetic balance, disease is energetic imbalance. And when you understand just that, when I understood just that, it changed the way that I went about healing when I was sick. And thank God I never had anything drastic. I'm more so like, you know, nothing crazy, but I've seen a lot of sick people, and the first thing that they're told if they have cancer is, you know, you go do this therapy or this, or there's 3 things you could tell them to do legally, which is chemosurgery and radiation. Everything else is, you know, not really proven, although that's a whole other rabbit hole we can go into another time. The point is when you're looking at like how all of these things work, and when you understand the difference between health versus disease from an energetic standpoint, because that's the base of everything, then it's no longer how do I kill the cancer? It's how do I create an environment where the cancer cannot exist? And the first question, both have the same intention, but the first question leads to a mechanism of destruction. And the second intention, or the second statement and mechanism, leads to a mechanism of the opposite, creation, construction. And that's kind of how I live my life now. It's pretty cool.
Was your dad's body buried in a cemetery?
Yeah, Jewish cemetery. But we made him
like in the neighborhood and nearby where
near
he
my
lived?
family.
Oh, okay.
I made him the most badass gravestone. He loved yin yangs, so I call the grave guy makers, whatever you call them, the stone guys. And I'm like, hey, I have an unusual request. I need a very big circle stone that's going to stand like whatever X amount of feet in diameter. But I need it to be a yin yang, and I need it to be 2 separate stones that come together with white marble and black granite. And I want it to be like a monument of what I knew he would have loved. Imagine loving to go to the cemetery to see your dad's stone. I love it. It's the most beautiful thing in the world.
That's epic. And they got it done in time? Or did it get
took 5
added
months.
later? Oh, okay.
Added later.
Okay,
Yeah.
got it. I was thinking they did it in 12 hours.
No,
That's impressive.
It took 5 months to build.
You know, I learned something. I'm always studying ways to circumvent authoritarianism, and just anything I can do to be free. And I was preparing our will and trust and things like that. So I was looking into different options for burial when I eventually leave the body, hopefully sooner or later than sooner. So I was looking into like green burials, like natural burial, where the body doesn't get filled with all these chemicals that go pollute the planet and such. And in that research, I discovered something really interesting in law, and that is in most states, if you bury someone, I always say bury, but I think you say bury. If you bury someone, I've always said bury my whole life. I just realized it.
I say that too.
You do bury? Yeah. Then I think I was listening to a podcast and someone's like, well, where were they buried? And I was like, buried? That sounds weird. I'm like, oh no, I think that's the right way.
That actually makes sense. It's spelled with a U.
Yeah, exactly. If someone in your family, or I guess anyone for that matter, but mostly your family, is buried on your property, in most states,
tax-free.
Yeah, it enables you to designate your property forevermore as a cemetery.
You know who did that?
As a burial ground, and there's no more property taxes for infinity.
Donald Trump did that with his wife, his first wife who died, Ivana.
Really?
And she's buried in the golf course in New Jersey, and it's tax-free real estate.
Yeah. So you heard about that?
Yeah.
I've told people that. They're like, what? That sounds weird. I'm like, no, I looked it up. It's legit. I mean, every state kind of has different.
Yeah. New Jersey laws with their tax exempt status on a situation like that fits it. And that's why he did it there.
Yeah.
Otherwise, why would he go to New Jersey?
There's some stipulations around, how the body's prepared and how it's buried. You can't just like dig a hole like you would for your cat or something, But anyway, I always found that interesting. So heads up, anyone listening or watching, I might have just hacked generational tax freedom for you. But the unfortunate thing is someone has to leave in order for that to happen. Speaking of leaving, I know based on your history, you've had some pretty significant injuries and things like that back in the day. Have you ever crossed over into the realm of maybe dying?
I've never been on the other side for a short period of time. I've been very close to it several times. To elaborate on what you're talking about. So this shoulder, all of my injuries happened between 14 and 18 years old. And I think they caused me to grow up much quicker because of how they happened. So this shoulder, my left shoulder, I dislocated 23 times. I got, yeah.
How do you even do that?
Sometimes it happened in my sleep.
Wouldn't after the eighth time, you're like, I'm going to stop doing that thing with the shoulder?
Oh, no. I wasn't doing anything.
Oh, wow.
So I'll give you my interpretation of events of what I think it all means.
Okay.
And
I thought you kept playing football.
No,
dude, get the message.
So 23 times, 3 shoulder surgeries. By age 18, almost needed a mechanical shoulder. Thank God I'm good. Everything's great. Then after that whole ordeal ended with my shoulder and everything was good, I got a staph infection in my left leg. I was backpacking in Thailand. I was alone. I was actually with a friend, but he had to leave. My parents were not happy about it at the time because I was 18 and I'm like, I'm staying in Thailand. I got this little cut. I was stupid and went to those, the pedicures, not the pedicures, but the fish that eat.
Yeah.
Okay.
I did that in Cambodia.
Yeah. So I did that, but I had a cut and I didn't connect the two. I didn't think about it. And till this day, I'm convinced that's where I got the infection from because that's kind of when it started. And that's what I did differently. Almost needed to get my leg amputated. I was 8 hours away from an amputation, 24 hours away from death. If it hit my bloodstream, hit my heart, would have been over. And through this period of 4 years, I was in a sling for most of the time because of my shoulder. And the leg was like the cherry on top. And by age 18, it was actually right before I turned 19 because I was in the hospital on my 19th birthday. And it was a horrible way to spend my 19th birthday, especially as a teenager. And my interpretation of the series of events, number one, as horrible as it was, greatest blessing that ever happened to me. Because right around 14, I started doing things differently in my life. And what I mean by that is, and I think a lot of people can probably relate to this, for me as a kid, I was weird. Like, I loved Ancient Aliens, the show. I loved space. I loved things having to do with spirituality. I loved all these things that every other 10 and 11-year-old would be like, what's wrong with you? When my grandfather died, I was 9 years old. He had Alzheimer's. The guy was suffering. When he died, my mom sat us down. She said, your grandfather passed away. My sister was crying. I was happy. I was happy because I'm like, the guy was suffering. The guy was a vegetable. He's no longer a vegetable. And everybody started looking at me around me like, what's wrong with this kid? There's something weird with him. So naturally, around 12, 13, 14 specifically, it's right when you're about to go to high school. I switched schools and I didn't want people to think I was weird. So I put this mask on and I just completely lived a fake life. And I did everything that you would think is like the cool kid in the movies, like throwing all the parties and the girls and all this stupid stuff. And that's when things started happening. My shoulders started happening.
Oh, yeah.
Then my leg happened. And like, I was like a real asshole by age 18. And like, not as a bad person, but like, you know, like you have two girls, one on each arm and the bottle of alcohol. And it was like a joke. And it wasn't me. And I knew it wasn't me.
Were you like one of those Jersey Shore guys?
No, but not far from it. And I'm like, what am I doing? What is this? And I remember in the hospital on my 19th birthday when I had and this was a horrible situation with what happened with the staph infection. It was actually more traumatic than my dad dying with what I saw. That's how much pain I was going through. It was horrible. And there was a point where I'm like, I woke up that morning on my 19th birthday, and I could hear my heartbeat. And it was the first time I could hear my heartbeat. Didn't have a phone next to me, didn't have any social media next to me, none of that. And there was this thought that came up, and I'm like, wow, my heart is beating, but it wouldn't be able to beat without the time of silence in between each beat. What is this silence? What is this presence? What is this stillness? How does it, I'm getting the chills. How does it work? Like, what is that? And that is when my mind and my heart started opening. I decided to delete all of my social media. And this was when I was using social media not for like work with what I do today, but to like show off stupid things, right? I deleted all my social media. I didn't read a book till the age of 19 in my life because I thought it was weird. Okay. And I didn't want people to think I was a nerd. So I started reading. The first book I ever read was called Energy Medicine. And alongside that, another book called The 1 Minute Cure, all about hydrogen peroxide and how it oxygenates the body and certain protocols and whatnot. And that my dad got me into because that's what he loved doing, and alternative wellness. And started reading, started writing, and I basically went into Buddha mode for like 2 years. I did, on my 21st birthday, most people go and drink. I fasted for 30 days. I shut my phone off for 30 days. My life changed like 180 degrees, if not more. It was insane of what I was experiencing, all because of the injuries that I went through, where I feel, and this is just my interpretation, that it was, whether you call it your higher self, you call it a higher power, you call it God, whatever you want to call it, there was something trying to wake me up and say, get back on track. And when I didn't listen the first time, it made it a little bit louder, so it hurt more with the shoulder. And I didn't listen, so then it started happening in my sleep. And I didn't listen, so then it happened again, and I broke it because I was kneeboarding like another idiot. And then after I already got surgery, once I went kneeboarding. And then I didn't listen to that one, so I got the staph infection. And I'm convinced, Luke, that if I kept going on that path and I didn't listen to the messages, I would not be here today because I was close to dying multiple times. And thankfully I did. And that's what caused the change. And I think it's a beautiful thing because there is a silver lining in every hardship we go through in our lives. And if we look at every hardship, no matter how difficult it may be, and I've been through some ugly stuff with dad and my father and not nice things to see. If you can try to ask or make it a point to ask, and this is what I've started practicing, not why is this happening to me, but how is this happening for me? Just a change of one word from 2 to 4. It shifted my entire perspective on life. It shifted the way I go about every situation. And it's propelled me to what I'm doing today.
Perspective is everything, man. Everything. I catch myself, every day at some point, just framing something, less so than I used to, but I guess I do it so infrequently actually that I do notice when I do it. But if I find myself just complaining about something, oh, it's raining, it sucks when it rains, whatever, like if something inconsequential to something really meaningful. But there's such immense value in being aware of your perspective. I mean, I think that's changed my life more than probably any other principle, is just watching the way I talk about things and think about things. And it's kind of so obvious and so, I don't know, played out in a way in kind of the new age personal development space. It's like, oh, you create your own reality. It's like, it sounds trite at this point, but it's so goddamn true.
It's true.
It's so goddamn true, because you can look at the experiences that you had and it's like, oh, the best thing ever, but it's only that way because time has passed and you were able to play around with the objective reality of it and extract your own meaning from it, right? Where someone else might have just gone down the road you were going down and never paused to reflect on it.
Most people do. And then they have the same themes happening in their life over and over and over and over again. And they ask why? Because those themes are tests, not in a negative way. They're gifts being given to you. And if you don't want to receive the gift, you're going to be given the gift again. It's not a bad thing. It's a good thing.
Totally.
It's an opportunity.
Well, I really relate to that. And I do my best to remind myself, when something is happening to me, right? Where it's like, oh, well, hold on. We don't know the end of the story yet, right? It's like if you go watch a movie and the beginning of the movie seems very tragic and hopeless and oh, there's no way the protagonist is ever going to get out of it, the hero's journey, right? Like, where's the guide? Like, where's a piece of hope, a key to unlock this riddle? And if you stop 15 minutes into the movie when, the problem is being presented, it would seem like a terrible movie. But like most movies, eventually it's going to come to an end point where you're like, oh, thank God that thing happened earlier because look at what came out of it, right? But I think it's so hard for some of us to do that in real time. To not have to wait until 3 years, 5 years later and go, oh, now I can look back and see why that really shitty thing happened. It ended up being for my betterment. I love the idea of just actually doing that in real time in the moment.
And knowing that it will come.
Yeah.
I think that's where faith comes in.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're like what has gotten me through hard times in life and what will always get me through hard times in life, at least from my perspective now, because that's also evolving all the time, is knowing that there are certain laws that this universe works by. And it has nothing to do with my opinion. It has nothing to do with your opinion. There are no opinions with fundamental laws. And I like focusing on those fundamental laws as much as I can. For example, the law of conservation of energy. First law of thermodynamics. Energy can't be created or destroyed. That's a fact. Now, when you actually think about that, you can extrapolate a lot of amazing conclusions and perspectives and understandings from that. For example, the law of conservation of energy can't be created or destroyed, proves that death is an illusion. It shows that we decompose in order to recompose. Now, the details of that, I don't know. But the details, I'm not, maybe we'll know that one day, maybe we won't. But if we just go according to guiding principles, it makes this infinite life so much more fun to live and much easier to live too. Think of numbers. Numbers are infinite, right? If you thought about infinity all the time, you'd go crazy because it never starts and it never ends. And yet numbers have certain laws that they work by. So number one, outside of laws, if you want to not know what infinity is, because you can't know something that has no limits. To know means to limit all other possibilities.
Honestly, that's a good point.
So let's take no out of the equation, right? And just do it a little bit differently.
Knowing is really boring too.
Knowing is very boring.
Wondering is much more fun.
Yes. And wondering based on guiding principles takes you really far. So when it comes to numbers, there are 4 laws, if you will, and 10 digits that you need to know in order to understand how infinity works. Not what infinity is, but how infinity works. What are those? We all know them. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Addition, subtraction, multiplication, division. With those 14 components, which we all know, you understand how numbers work. Now you can go deeper and so on and so forth, but those are your basics, first and foremost. Now take electricity. If you wanted to know what electricity is, good luck. Because you may think you know, and then you'll tell me what it is. And then I'm going to ask you another question. So what's that? And then, so what's that? And then we get to this point of, I don't know. It's just this energy. And we don't know what it is, but you don't need to know what it is.
Same with fire.
Yeah. Like,
I was looking at a fire the other night,
the craziest thing in the world.
at a friend's memorial, and I was watching the fire. I do this a lot. When I see something interesting like that, a natural phenomenon, I try to pretend like I've never seen it before, like I just came from another planet where the fire doesn't exist, right? Just to appreciate things. Same with people, right? It's like we kind of take people for granted. Oh yeah, there's Joe. Hey Joe, what's up, man? Yeah, and you just kind of, you're not really present to that person, right? But I was looking at fire and I was like, it's the weirdest fucking thing ever. Like electricity. What even is that?
Like, how are we communicating right now? What is this?
Well, you could explain electricity if to your point, like if I tried to explain to you electricity, I would at the very best be able to, I mean, I'm sure some people could do better than I because it's not my area of expertise, but I could show you the effects of electricity or what it's used for, maybe even part of how it's generated, but what it actually is beyond explanation, just like fire.
Even as an electrician, at the end of the day, they need to know how mechanisms work with electricity. And that's why they're electricians, because they are masters of electricity. So when an electrician comes to your home and wires a bunch of stuff, and then you flip the switch and the light turns on, it's not some crazy situation. It's cause and effect. He did this. There are mechanisms. He followed the mechanisms, or she followed the mechanisms, and now you flip the switch and the light turns on. Well, if there are electricians in this world that are masters of electricity, then why can't we be masters of energy and understand how to create, access certain realities? They're fundamental laws. So those fundamental laws are what I love to follow because they really do help me guide certain things throughout my life. For example, there was somebody that tried to create something maliciously and take over something that I was building. And I looked, and I said, okay. And there were a bunch of people messaging me saying, this was a few years ago, a bunch of people messaged me saying, this woman is doing X, Y, and Z. What are you going to do about it? And I observed, and I said, nothing. And they're like, what do you mean nothing? But she's doing X, Y, and Z. I said, but she'll never succeed. And they said, how are you so sure? And I said, because I see the type of person she is. And I know the consequences that come with certain actions, not because of my opinion, but because of how things work. So the best thing I can do is not do anything because she's going to fall on her own. And that's exactly what happened. So understanding these fundamental laws change the way you start behaving and acting throughout your life. And sometimes you will know that you'll lead to certain situations that you may not desire, but at least you have the forewarning about it. You know what's about to happen.
That's a great reminder. Sometimes, like many of us, I'm sure, it's so frustrating to see people that perpetuate violence and evil that get away with it, like our government and the parasitic class of baby-eating pedophiles, Satanist weirdos. And you just like, it's all like with the Epstein files, it's like, dude, is someone going to get arrested? Like we want justice. That's a principle, right? It's a law of justice. I mean, it's valid. And I'll find myself getting pissed off, as we should if you have a heart in your chest, right? But to your point, it's like they're not actually getting away with it. I mean, if we can stop them, let's stop them. But the idea that they're walking away unscathed after committing those kind of atrocities, like they're going to pay on some level. I might not be here to see it in this dimension, but
they may not be here in their form to experience it either, but they are not the body.
Right.
And that's what I think, like, as a human, I get it. Because it's like, what do you mean? Like, we live in this life and we're in this lifetime, and this person does something so bad and they're living their entire lives and they pass away like nothing happened. Well, you don't know that nothing happened because there are spiritual ramifications. And it's not a punishment. It's just a rebalancing. I don't like using the word punishment. I don't believe in punishment because, like, when they say God is going to punish you, no.
You know what's a good word for this?
Mm-hmm.
Consequence with sequence. It's like, it's not cause and effect. It's like if I do something evil, it doesn't cause me to suffer or pay the price for it. Suffering and paying the price is just a consequence. It's just what naturally happens
Yes.
after I do that thing, right?
Like if you jump
that
off
make
a
sense?
building, if you jump off a building, you're going to hit the floor and die.
Right.
It's not a punishment.
But the building didn't cause me to die.
Exactly.
Right. Or even jumping off the building didn't cause me to die. Dying is what happens when a 165-pound body hits the cement.
Yep.
Right. Anyway, it's an idea I've been playing with, because the idea of cause and effect as we typically think about it doesn't hold water to me. It kind of hits this point where you can't explain it.
I see what you're saying.
But
because that's also an illusion.
A consequence does, though. Just thinking about that word, like this plus this plus this, then this other thing comes next.
It just happens.
Yeah. But anyway, I didn't mean to derail you.
So
you keep saying things that like spark my.
Oh no, these are like
spark my.
By
interest.
the way, these conversations fill my soul. Like when I leave here today, I'm going to be like
me
that.
too.
I love this.
That's how I keep doing this shit after 650 times.
Because it opens you, man. It expands you.
It's amazing.
You're synchronizing with
the things
cool
I
people.
learned sitting here, dude. I mean, I'm a changed man from just all of these brilliant conversations with incredible people like you. So I digress. I think you were on this idea that no one's getting away with anything, right? That in the spiritual realm,
and the laws.
Yes.
Right? So I like living by these laws because they're like, we live in this world. Okay, so there's, you know this inside and out. There's the physical world, and then there's what actually dictates the physical world. And I think the biggest mistake that we made in the world today is only dealing with things from the level of the physical plane. And that's kind of dumb. And it's kind of dumb because it would be the equivalent of if you have like a tree, right? And the tree has a poisonous root. And that poison is traveling up the trunk. And then branches grow. And you start looking at the branches and you're seeing all these deformed branches and diseased branches. What we're doing in the world today, at least collectively until we make a more positive change, although things are starting to change, we're cutting the branch off and wondering why the branch grows back still deformed. Because you're dealing with the level from the branch, and you have to be dealing with it from the root. So what is the root? If the physical or the branches, the root is the spiritual world. And when I say spiritual, I don't mean it in like, a woo-woo way at all. Spirituality is a science. Science that's not studied enough, but it's a science. And the fundamental laws of the universe, like the law of vibration, you experience what you're in resonance with. That's how walkie-talkies work. That's how radios work. That's how the military works. That's how I can block you from accessing my channel while I'm talking to someone else. It's all encryption, but that's how it works. It's all energy, frequency, and vibration. Yet we see physical things, so we think it's all physical, and it's not. Right? And then you have the law of conservation of energy, the law of balance. So that's where karma comes from. Karma is not a bad thing, although they say karma's a bitch, but there's good karma too.
Karma's amazing.
Karma is this, it's a self-balancing mechanism that is built into existence. And the deeper, at least I dive into this, number one, the more I realize I don't know anything. And number two, the more I'm okay with certainty. And number three, the more I realize that while none of this is real, I'm living in a reality where I experience it as real. And for that reason, we shouldn't neglect it.
Yeah, well said.
I know a lot of people in the spiritual community, time's an illusion, death's an illusion, so they don't take care of their bodies, but they meditate all day. What are you doing? Your body is a vessel. And that vessel is important.
It's like the non-dual negation of the purpose of having a dual experience. You know what I mean? I've gone through phases of this, right? Where I realized like, wait, there's no separation. Like our belief in separation is like the root of all of our problems, speaking of the root, right? So it's like, okay, cool. You can get to a point where you realize, especially if you do DMT or something, you go, oh, okay, yeah, this world is totally not all there is, right? There is this expanse of consciousness that people call the quantum field or the unified field, which is real and the origin of everything that we experience in this reality. But that doesn't mean that this reality doesn't have value just because it's a projection or a simulation. Then why are we here? What am I doing here? Why am I in a body? That's helped me a lot, because sometimes I get kind of nihilistic about it. I'm just like, God, what am I doing in this like slave planet run by pedophiles? Like, what the fuck? I want to go be with God. You know what I mean?
I've been there.
But there's a purpose of this seemingly concrete 3D dualistic
Dude,
experience.
you know how cool this place is? Like, think about it. We're able to do something that you're not able to do in the spiritual realms. We're able to have a body. That's unusual. That's not a normal thing. That doesn't happen all the time. There's a lot of, sure, if everything works in balance, so you know, with love and hate, although everything comes from love. But when everything works in balance, at least in the world of duality, the world that me and you were talking about on the other side is the world of singularity. The world over here is the illusion of duality. The best combination of both is being able, in my opinion, is being able to understand do your best to understand and connect to the world of singularity while enjoying the world of duality. And what I mean by that is no different than if you see a magician pull a rabbit out of the hat. It's really cool to see, but you know that it's an illusion, and yet you can still enjoy it. And I think that's the art of being a human being.
Bingo. That's it.
Have a good time.
And that, yeah, thanks for the reminder too, that there are experiences that you can have that require being in a body, right? Holding a baby, playing in a waterfall. You know, I mean, it's
cool.
So many cool things you can do here while you're in a body in the physical realm that you can't experience without that. You know, it's a good reminder. I try to remind myself of that sometimes. Yeah, that's good. But I think you really just nailed it. I mean, that's, at least from where I'm sitting at life right now, that seems to be on target, right? Is the acknowledgement that ultimately there is only one thing. We just call it consciousness, right? But if we negate this experience within consciousness, we're missing out on the whole point. So it's like, how do you walk that line? And also, the more that I've been able to do that, the less seriously I take my life, myself, my problems, the world, war. You know, it's like, it's not that I lose empathy or compassion or love or caring. It's just, I'm just much less attached to this world. You know?
And that doesn't justify horrible actions either. It's like look, take karma, right? If in a past life you were an abuser of a child, maybe this life you have to experience being abused, not as a punishment, to rebalance the experience. But here's the interesting part. If you have to be the one to experience the abuse, and that's your karma, then my question is, then is your abuser in this life creating new karma? Or is I don't understand that. You know what I mean?
That's interesting.
Right? I can understand it from just one perspective of, okay, you were really rich in your past life and you never helped anybody and you never donated. So now you're going to come back really poor, not as a punishment, but to experience the experience of the individual who needed it and never got any help. Well, back to take child trafficking. Is the abuser in this life, on the other side of the equation, creating a new karma? Because I don't see how you could rebalance karma by being the abuser. So I don't know. You know, I have no idea. But here's the thing. We don't have to know.
Yeah.
You know, we need to do our best to make our surroundings as positive as possible. One rule that I love, whenever you get to a place, if you can leave it cleaner than when you got there, it's like one of the golden rules, because if everybody did that.
First rule of camping.
Yeah. If everybody did
Leave
that,
your
imagine.
campsite better than how you found it. I think it's a Boy Scout thing, you know?
Yeah. But really, imagine everybody did just one little thing.
Yeah.
It would change everything. So I go in and out of the pissed off when I see the Epstein files to life is beautiful and all that's nonsense. And it's not nonsense because it's real and people are getting hurt.
Yeah.
And I think there's this balance that we're always going to keep refining and finding and so on and so forth of when is the right time to live and enjoy and just focus on, like, be oblivious to certain things in the world for a period of time. When is the time to fight and go full force and do what we got to do? What is the balance between all of that? I think everybody has a different balance. I think what your balance is, my balance may be different because we have different like electrical signatures, soul signatures. We're all here for a different purpose and yet part of the same exact puzzle, the same one big puzzle. And it's all so grand and so insane that you really can't come to any conclusion because there is no conclusion because it's everlasting and it always was, always is, and always will be. So sometimes I'm just like, I'm going to let whatever needs to happen, happen because I'm not in control of that. I'm going to do what I am in control of to make this world and the people that I meet have the most positive experience possible. And I'll do my best to, first and foremost, not in a selfish way, but the exact opposite, take care of myself so I can then show up for others and do my best to enjoy it. Because like life is short, man. You don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. For all you know, God forbid, you could walk in the street, a car hits you, you're gone. Enjoy every second you have. That's what the passing of my father showed me. Enjoy it. The guy worked his butt off, 62 years old, about to retire, made all his money, did everything he needed to do, about to start traveling with my mom, and boom, it's over. You got to enjoy every second you have.
I think about that when I'm tempted to argue with internet trolls. You know what I mean? Which I don't. I just, it's a rule I have for myself. It's a law. It's a principle. It's just like, I don't argue.
Yeah.
I mean, just with anyone, I just don't argue, period. Right. But if I'm tempted, I think, man, I remember when I watched my dad die in the hospital too. And it's like, when you're at that point of exit, I mean, he was in a coma, so I didn't get to be like, do you have any regrets? But I doubt anyone in their final moments is like, I should have tried to proven other people wrong more on the internet that I don't even know and I'll never meet, right? It's like things really do get brought into perspective by those kind of experiences. I'm going back to what you're saying about the karma and, being abused. I was writing about this actually recently. Because I was abused when I was a little kid. And so I was writing about forgiveness and just the process throughout my life of trying to reconcile forgiveness, but also acknowledging what was done. And, it gets complex psychologically, right? But one of the things that I found really helpful that might be useful to people listening was exactly around what you were describing is, this is like, it's really, I probably wrote it in a much better way. So just read my book when it comes out later this year, folks, because you don't want to sound like you're victim shaming yourself or other people, right? And it's like when something happens when you're really young, you're totally innocent. Mm-hmm. I mean, from, I don't know, past that age, what I was around 6, anything bad that's ever happened to me was, almost all of it was my own doing in one way or another through my own selfishness or ignorance or whatever, got myself into situations where people hurt me. But looking back on that, it's like literally I did nothing to contribute to that happening, right? I was truly innocent. So then I started looking deeper into it from the karmic lens and found a lot of resolution because my worldview allows for the idea that I did something super fucked up at some point, right? And so that was my opportunity to undo that. And as you said, I like the way you said to kind of balance the scales, right? Not that I would prefer that happened to me. It was terrible. I mean, it really marked my life in really profound and terrible ways, which I've, of course, transmuted into beauty as best I can. But there is a lot of freedom, I think, in what can be a trap of like permanent or perpetual victimhood, and not being able to forgive someone in that capacity. I'm still working on how deep that forgiveness can go, but I think that's a really useful tool, is to kind of zoom out when something bad happens to you, right? To see like, there's a lot more in history that I don't understand or have knowledge of. So maybe in some way this situation is not only something that I can use for growth and to move myself forward, but I might actually have like paid off a debt and I can kind of wipe my hands of that debt and not have to keep living it if I can take the lesson and move forward with it and not become a perpetrator myself as a result of being perpetrated upon, right? I mean, there's got to be like a turning point where like you stop that cycle of whatever it is, any kind of negative behavior. What do you think about that as a concept?
Yeah, I think it brings me right back to the laws. One of the laws is, I don't think I made up this name, but I use this name all the time, the law of oneness. And basically it states that everything is interconnected to everything else. So, analogy, the ocean. The ocean has what we perceive as waves, but that's bullshit because the wave is not separate from the ocean. And yet you perceive it to be its own individual wave because you could see this individuated part of the ocean. But we all know that before the wave was a wave, it was calm water. And then energy went through it. And when energy moves through the medium of water, it causes the water to move to create a wave. And then eventually the energy dissipates and it comes right back down. So we see all these waves in the ocean. They're not individual waves. They're all part of the ocean. Me and you are individual waves that are part of the ocean. And we are formed and we will be deformed or unformed at some point. Not deformed, but unformed at some point. So called, birth and death. And it's coming out of and returning back to the same place. So I bring that up because when you think about that enough, and this is what I did on that a few years ago when I did that fast, it would bring up all these like remembrances. It wasn't even something I wasn't taught this. It was, and nobody needs to be taught this. It's in all of us. You just need to be quiet and silent and still enough to be able to be like, have this idea that comes out of nowhere. You're tapping into that, call it the Akashic records, call it what you want, but this knowingness that always was, is, and will be. And what it shows me is that, okay, well, if everything is one, then just like I wouldn't take a hammer and break my own leg in my one body, then why would oneness do anything to hurt itself? Why would source do anything to hurt itself? And therefore, from that perspective, and this may be, I say difficult to understand for a lot of people that I've shared this with on podcasts in the past, because they're like, what do you mean? What about all the bad things in life? What I'm really saying here is there is no such thing as bad. There's such thing as uncomfortable. There's such thing as things we don't desire. And yes, on the surface, there are such things as things that we call horrible things, like rape and murder and molestation. And so those are bad things in they're just bad. And at the same time, there is this order that we just don't understand that must be connected to the law of oneness. And I don't know what to make of this, but what I do know is that source would never do anything to hurt itself. Now come to your own conclusions on your own personal experiences, right? Why was this child raped? Why was this person murdered? I don't know. I don't have those answers. But there's one thing that I know for a fact because it's a law. Source would never do anything to hurt itself. And we are always growing. And by the way, growth usually comes from the situations that we call bad. So I don't know what to make of that. I'm just following the laws and using it as a way to help me get through certain things along the way and ask the right questions. Why did my father die the way that he did? What were the silver linings that came out of it? That's what we need to focus on, because when you look for beauty, you'll find beauty. And if you look for ugly, you'll find ugly. And me and you can be looking at the same picture. And if I'm looking for the blue and you're looking for the yellow, I will only see the blue and you will only see the yellow. So we're running on this program, all of us. And some of us are running on the program of beauty. Some of us are running on the program of everything's bad. Some of us are running on the program of I'll never find my significant other. Some of us are running on the program of, I will always be blessed and I will always figure out a way. And some of us are running on the program of, I just don't know how to handle money. And that's on us. Now, yeah, maybe your parents instilled that within you when you were growing up, and you think that it's just the way it is, but there is no just the way it is. It's just the way you were programmed. So when I got to like, I think 20 years old, and I was reading, I forgot which book, but one of the books, I think it was The Power of Now, if I'm not mistaken, actually. And it spoke about gatekeeping your subconscious. And one of the things that I learned from there was ask yourself, is it true? So next time you have this thought, that's just the thought that you always have, like I'm not good enough, or, you know, I'll never be able to X or Y or whatever it is it true? Because the answer is it's bullshit. It's not true. None of that's true. You could make it true if you choose to, but if you're already going to make something true, why are you making something bad true? Why are you making something you don't want to be true true? You're the one that decides. So are you not good enough? I don't know. You tell me, but why would you want that to be true? And if that's not true, then the second you re-ask yourself that question, and this is how you can like break limits and boundaries. You start asking yourself a question again when you're no longer a kid that just had it imposed upon you, and now you're an adult that can do things a little bit more consciously. And you can let go of the things that are garbage and double down on the things that are good. But one word of advice to everybody watching, double down on the things that people call you crazy for thinking you can do. I do that all the time. You know how many people told me with multiple things I did in my life, Jason, that's not possible. You're naive. You're oblivious. It's just impossible. It hasn't been done before. I'm like, that's cool. I'm going to do it.
Thanks for sharing.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
On that, on the metaphor of one body of water appearing like different waves, and us all being essentially one thing. I think that way of looking at karma is really useful, in that I think a lot of people think about the idea of karma as, if I do something, say, if I do something wrong right now, then, down the road in 20 years, that same thing could happen to me, right? It's like that. Or if I, hold the door open for someone or walk the little lady across the street, then someday someone's going to do that for me. But from the lens that you were just looking at this idea that there's only one thing, do you think that, I'm kind of looking for confirmation here. This is what I believe at this particular point, is that like karma is not, it's non-linear, and it doesn't exist in time in the way we think it is. So say like right now I notice, you drop $100 bill off your chair, and I'm like, oh, he didn't notice. And I take it and I don't say anything to you. It's not like someone's going to take $100 bill from me down the road. Like I already paid the price the moment I did the thing, because there's no time and there's no separation. So I'm actually stealing that $100 from myself right now, because I am you. It's like you can't actually get ahead the way people that are unconscious and selfish and evil think you can, right? It's like whatever you're doing, you're instantaneously doing to yourself in that moment. So if I were to punch you in the face, you might feel the brunt of it, but I'm hurting myself at the very same time. Do you subscribe to that, or does that make sense to you?
Yes, but I want to elaborate.
Okay. Please do.
So let's talk about time.
This is the kind of shit I think about when I'm laying in bed at night or when I'm meditating. These are the kind of ideas that kind of like swirl around. I go, I want to wrestle this into something that I can communicate to people that might be helpful to them, as it has been for me.
So I'll give you a crazy thought that you may or may not have thought of before. But what I'm about to share is one of my favorite topics to speak about, because it's honestly the craziest thing in the world. Like literally. So time. What is it? How would you define time?
I would define time as, it's defined by where our focus of attention is at any given moment. So I could call this moment 4:45 p.m. because that's what I'm looking at, but it doesn't exist in the sense that there's only one infinite moment. And I just call this moment now, or I call this moment time, right? But it's one big expanse that can't even be defined. But time is like the thing I pay attention to right in this moment, but then it's already gone because it wasn't real.
So
It's probably made like 0 sense to 99% of the people listening, but
no.
I
So
don't think there actually is time,
well, there is
because I've been in spaces where the idea of time is so irrelevant. I mean, like when you dream, right? It's like, what time is it when you dream? There's no fucking time when you dream. Are dreams not real? Who's experiencing the dream then? Some part of us is, and it's outside of time, because you can have a dream that probably in this reality is 30 seconds or 1 minute.
Yep.
But it was days and days of experiences within the dream.
Which is also insane. So time, I bring this topic up.
I'm here for it.
First of all, it's like, bear with me on this.
Yeah.
Because it's like, it's insane when and even like, you'll understand it, but don't stop there. Like, keep going. Because whatever you think you understand, every time I even speak about this or talk about it, I get more out of it. It's like watching a movie the second time or the third time. So time, literally speaking, you were speaking about time as like 4:45 or 4:50. That's not time. That's how you measure time. So if that's how you measure time, then what is time? Time is the movement of light from point A to point B.
Wow. Cool.
Okay, and I'll prove it to you. Have you ever heard of the term 1 light year?
Mm-hmm.
Or a light year?
Mm-hmm.
And the speed of light?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so the speed of light is about 186,000 miles per second. That's around, doesn't matter, but 7 times around planet Earth's circumference every single second. 186,000 miles per second. Very, very fast. That means that if the speed of light, which it is 186,000 miles per second, and I am standing 186,000 miles away from you, and I turn on a light bulb, how long will it take for you to see it turn on?
That long.
1 second.
Oh, wait, what?
So I'll say it again. This is why I say bear with me.
Oh, right, man.
If me and you are currently 186,000 miles away from each other, and the speed of light travels at 186,000 miles per second, then if I turn a light on and you're 186,000 miles away from me,
1 second,
you will see the light turn on 1 second after it actually turned on.
Huh.
Okay.
Wow.
So if you go to the standard model of the solar system in space, doesn't matter if you do or you don't.
Which I
it's
don't.
just, that's fine. It's just, I got it based
I lost
on the expression.
I lost that one way before viruses even.
So let's just assume that to be true for the purpose of the conversation,
Sure.
So I can explain how time works.
I appreciate that.
So
oftentimes people will be like, all around the globe, and I'm sitting here like, don't even bother.
So according to the standard model, they say the sun is 93 million miles away. Doesn't matter if it's true or not. 93 million miles at the speed of light, 186,000 miles per second, is 8 minutes away. So if the sun were to explode right now, everything would be normal for the next 8 minutes, even though there is no sun. The closest star to our planet, according to the model, other than the sun, is 4 light years away. Pay attention. Light year is a distance, and yet it's also used as a time. 1 light year, what the hell is a light year? It's 5 trillion miles away from you. Because light, at the speed of light, 186,000 miles per second, if you took the amount of seconds in a year and multiplied it by 186,000, you're going to get about 5 trillion. So 1 light year away from you is really 5 trillion miles away from you. Now, here's the cool part. This is the crazy part. When you're looking up tonight at the night sky, assuming the model that we're talking about, you are looking into the past. And I'll tell you why. This is the hard part to wrap your head around. Because if the closest star is 4 light years away, that means that because every star is at a different distance, but let's assume every star in the night sky was 10 light years away. Let's just assume that. If every star that you saw tonight is 10 light years away, the light takes 10 years to reach you. So the light that you're seeing from this vantage point on Earth is 10 years old. So if 5 years ago, all of those stars exploded, you would still see them right now. You're looking in the past.
Nuts.
Now, the opposite is true as well. If you are standing 3,000 light years away, how can you go into the past and observe if history is true? I'll tell you exactly how to do it. I just don't have the technology to do it. But how you do it is quite simple in the mechanism. If you are standing 3,000 light years away from Earth, and you take a big telescope, and you look at Earth, and you zoom into Egypt, you will see Egypt 3,000 years ago, because the light of that experience is 3,000 light years away from here. And if I can teleport you, theoretically, 3,000 light years away right now, you will receive the light of that experience. So the reason why I bring that up is because time is only a measurement of the movement of light from point A to point B. And what that means is they say time is relative. They used to say time is absolute. Then Einstein came and proved time is relative. That's what I'm sharing right now, that it's relative to the point that you're at. And so long as you're at a specific point, well, if I'm on Earth looking at a star 3,000 light years away, I am looking at the past. And vice versa. If I'm on the star looking at Earth, I am looking at Earth's past. The past and the future is all relative to the point that you're at between point A and point B. That's all that's going on.
Yeah.
And at the same time, and this is the punchline, when you remove all points, because those don't exist either, when you remove all points, it's all happening simultaneously.
Yes. That's what I was trying to articulate.
Yes. But that's the science behind it.
That's fucking
When you remove
epic. I've never heard it explained that way. That makes perfect sense.
It's really insane.
So I need a whiteboard to do this, but that's what I was trying to articulate when you asked me like how I would define time. So imagine, okay, a horizontal line going across here, right? And if you said, where is now? I'd be like, it's right here on this point on the line, right? So I could say, well, there is this moment right here. There is this now. But if I was to focus unilaterally, there would be no time because there'd be no point of focus. It's just one eternal moment.
So I call it fixed point consciousness. Have you ever looked at a train moving by? If you look at somebody looking at a train as it's moving, you're going to see their eyes go like this. You know why? Because we're hardwired to focus on a point. That's how we're built as human beings.
Right.
You can't look at something moving and have your eyes fixed on a point that doesn't exist. You need to fixate onto a point. So I call it in my first book, Informing the Formless, I called it fixed point consciousness. It's how we're hardwired physically, but we can expand beyond that. So the point is this is what I mean of like living in the world, but also being outside of it at the same time.
Yeah.
Living in duality, but understanding singularity. So you understand it from the perspective of consciousness and awareness, but you're living in the reality of duality. It's a really cool way to live. It's a really cool way to live.
Yeah.
But with that fixed point consciousness, you're 100% right. When you remove those points that are completely arbitrary, like World War II, when did it begin? We have a date in our history books. But why did it begin on that date, 1930, whatever it is? Why didn't it begin, take Hitler maybe. Why didn't it begin when he was born? Who decided the beginning and the end of an occurrence? We did. We made it up. The fact is, exactly what you're saying, it is one continuum that we break up into fixed points to be able to have practical understandings and conversations about it. But it's an illusion. The problem is we believe the illusion, And we forgot that it's an illusion, so we think it's real. The problem is we've gone from understanding that the magician is not doing magic. He's pulling a rabbit out of a hat with a mechanism. It's an illusion. And we've become the toddlers that believe that the magician is doing magic. It's not magic. There's a mechanism. Same thing in the world today. We have forgotten the very things that we created arbitrarily for practicality, and we now believe them to be real. And that's really weird because it made a weird world.
To your definition of time being, the time it takes from light to travel from point A to point B, got me thinking about, imagine the sun was stationary, right? And it just was always illuminated. It's always at solar noon, let's say, right? There would be no seconds, there would be no minutes, there would be no hours, there'd be no days, weeks, months, years. There would be no way to measure it because it doesn't move, right? And so you would just be lost.
It would just be.
Yeah, what would we be doing? I'll meet you at 3. What's that? I think there's a meme about a settler colonizer landing on a native shore, right? And he's like, "Oh, meet me at 3 o'clock," and the native is like, "What's that?" You know what I mean?
Time zones were created when railroads were created.
Really?
Mm-hmm. They created them to have a point of reference because it could be day by you and night by me. You need time zones. So based on the model, they took what they said is a globe. They broke it up into 15 degrees times X amount, which comes to 360. And that's how they created time zones.
Oh, man.
Time zones it's 15 times 24 because every 15 degrees is an hour. And that's literally how they did it.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm of the mind that, speaking of time zones, that time changes are a nefarious plot to throw us out of our natural rhythm. Do you see any logical explanation for why we need daylight savings time?
Well, their official reason, not that I buy it. I think I like Arizona because they don't do it, but which is, I think, the only state in the United States that doesn't do it. They're just like, no, like we're just gonna stay here, and you guys can do whatever you want. It gets really confusing because then you don't know what time it is when you're going between Utah and Arizona. That happened to me, where I was on Lake Powell on a jet ski, and they're like, bring it back at this time. And I keep going over the border between Arizona and Utah. I don't know what time it is. I just gave up and I gave it back an hour late by accident.
Funny.
But the official reason is to save energy and electricity. I don't know. It's weird. This whole thing is weird.
And now they're building all these AI data centers that use up tremendous amounts of energy, and there's no problem with that.
But they want everybody to go green.
I think I resent the the premise of daylight savings because it really throws me off. Like it takes, like, I'm just getting my circadian rhythm dialed in, right? And then it's boom. Like, oh, boom, the clock changes. And then it's like, I have to do all this work to kind of restructure the way I plan my days and nights to get back in sync with the sunrise and the sunset. I'm just like, God, you bastards. That's what's cool if you go somewhere near the equator and you have longer days, right? And it's like the
That's
sunrise.
Where I think we were meant to live.
Sunrise and sunset is like at the same time every day. And we don't know that until you go there and you're like, wait, what? It's always the same. It's amazing.
I feel that, and I base this off of logic, not research, but I think that we were meant to live closer to the equator.
100%.
Because, I mean, think about it.
Especially if you're darker skinned.
Yeah. And if you lived, 3,000 years ago, or even a few hundred years ago, why would you live in a place where you have seasons? Why? It doesn't make sense.
Seasons are whack.
Because then you need to keep, wouldn't it be easier if you were just stable year round?
Yeah. Some people like seasons, and I respect that. I don't. Maybe it's the Californian in me. We just had a freeze here. I'm still pissed off. Some of our plants are dead. And we hired some gardeners to come cover them up and everything, I remember when it was happening, even before I saw the dead plants, which I'm really, I take pride in the foliage of the property. It's like, I'm going to be a great old man, that's like out tinkering with his plants. Like, I love that shit. And when that was happening, I'm just like, oh, we got to leave Texas. This sucks. Fuck this place. Like, I don't want to live anywhere where it ever freezes. Why would anyone do that? I was getting so annoyed, And I'm like, okay, I have to back to perspective. I go, well, there's a lot of great things about here, but it's funny. I was speaking of the equator yesterday. I'm always trying to catch solar noon. I have this app on my phone so I can go like get naked in the backyard and soak up as much sun. So I always have an alarm when it's solar noon so I can go out there. And I asked Chat GPT, I was like, what's the UV index? It's like 5. Of course, Chat GPT, because it's so Illuminati driven, is like, don't get skin cancer. I'm like, no, I'm out here to get maximum UV. I have to restate my purpose here. I actually want to burn. Okay. No, not burn.
You know what's funny about that though?
What?
The equator with their whole skin cancer in the sun. If that were true, then skin cancer rates would be higher nearest to the equator. And yet it's the exact opposite.
Yeah. And where's it highest? Shift workers that never get sun. But anyway, I'm on Chat GPT and I'm like, 5, is that good? So I said, what is it in Costa Rica right now? And or El Salvador. And it's like, oh, it's always like 11 or 12 or whatever the maximum. I was like, damn it, we need to find a way to stay there more. You
look at all the ancient civilizations, Egypt, the Mayans, they were all near the equator. It also makes more sense. It's easier to live there. You don't need to, you'll still have animals and hunting, but it's less. You have trees. You don't have to chase anything. You just pull it off.
Go pick some goddamn mangoes.
It's much easier.
Call it a day.
yeah, it's just much easier.
Yeah,
so.
I feel better in tropical places.
Me too. But I'm also brown. I come from the Middle East, so makes sense.
Yeah, you need sun, dude. I want to talk about people watching the video for like, what is this? What is the Matrix box in front of you? We definitely have to get into that. There was something else. What was it? Oh yeah. Okay, reincarnation. Mm-hmm. I'm sorry, this is not really an interview. I just feel like you're someone I just like to shoot the shit with.
Yeah.
Bounce ideas off. You've really like opened me up to some really great perspectives. But one thing I think about is the reincarnation issue, right? It's because like you, I've seen that death is a fallacy. It literally doesn't exist. That said, I want to stay here as long as I'm meant to stay here and all that, but like I'm not so worried that this is the end, But with reincarnation, thing that trips me out, if you tie that to the way that we were just describing time, if you think about past lives,
it's parallel.
There are other lives. They're going on right now. It's not like, oh, I was a miner back in 1752.
You were in your experience of time.
Yeah.
But that 1752 exists 200 light years away from you.
Yes.
Right now.
And it's happening right now.
Yeah.
In a sense. Is that?
No, it is.
So it's like
15 trillion miles away.
Got it.
Like literally, like 9/11, September 11, 2001 at 8:46 a.m. Maybe this is a bad example because I don't think that story is true, but that's all other conversation. That experience, every second goes 186,000 miles away from Earth in its form, in its light form. The only thing you won't be able to do is hear it. You know why? Because sound goes at a different speed than light. And that's why when it's lightning outside, you hear the thunder after you see the lightning.
Oh, wild.
And there's actually an equation loosely for every second that, let's say you see the lightning and you don't hear the thunder. Sometimes you hear it 2 seconds later, 5 seconds later, 1 second later, 10 seconds later. The further out you hear it, the further it is away from you, because that's the sound. The sound travels at 767 miles per hour. That's why an F-16 can break the sound barrier. They break that, it's around 760 miles per hour, and boom, you see that big circle doing the sonic boom. So my point is our experience that we're having right now, whatever time it is, in 10 minutes from now, will be however many seconds are in 10 minutes, times 186,000 miles away from us. Like, it's weird, but that's what's going on. So that means that if you had a past life in, you were in 1956, which is 70 years before now, On this
You're
exact
good at
day,
math. I would like to have to get out my phone to figure that out.
so 1956, on this exact day in February at this exact time, exists 70 light years away. And it is every second going another 186,000 miles away. That's how time works. So the past life is past from your point of view here, but it's parallel from the
Right.
point of view when you take out all points of view,
Right.
because it's
Right.
just somewhere else, which when there are no points to travel between, there's no such thing as here and there. It's just here. So the word nowhere is now here. The word nothing is no thing. It's not one thing. It's everything. It's just cool little things along the way,
That's
but it's all
dope.
happening right now.
That's so cool. I've had some experience around that. It's funny, dude. It's so weird. So many of the things we're talking about today are things I'm writing about right now. I mean, this conversation is like, I could show you downstairs, like, yeah, here's the page where that's the thing we just talked about. But what I was literally writing right before you showed up was around this idea of the inner child, right?
Mhm.
Which I remember hearing in the 80s, and I was like, oh God, some fluffy therapy shit, whatever. I always thought it was corny. But I've had experiences specifically with ayahuasca where I was going in looking at trauma, that I experienced when I was a kid. And it's like, it's hard to even articulate, but like these experiences often are. But essentially, I had the experience on a number of occasions where I became aware that every version of myself that I've ever been from the second I was born exists simultaneously in the version of me that I am now.
Mhm.
Right. So it's like I can actually, have actually gone back, for lack of a better term, to retrieve those parts of myself that were lost or hurt, right? And integrate all those versions of myself into who I am now, which is outside of the idea of space and time. There was a 1-year-old me that doesn't exist anymore. No, the 1-year-old me is just buried within the 55-year-old me. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
And I've had so many beautiful experiences playing with that reality that it's like, oh, there is no like lost part of me that is outside of my capacity for healing, right? It's like, I don't have to go back and re-experience those harms. Well, you kind of do. Right? You got to feel them, right, to heal them. So I like to say, but it's like no part of me could ever be lost because there's no place and time for it to be lost in, right?
Yes.
It's like, wow, no, I actually can integrate every version of me that's ever been and welcome it and embrace it and love it and just allow it to be part of my experience now.
Have you ever done a past life regression?
No, I haven't.
So,
Have you?
yes.
Oh, wow.
Do you know Dr. Brian Weiss?
I've heard the name, yeah.
So he, best in the world, almost on his way out, late 80s, I think.
Oh, wow.
And he
I
wrote a
should
book.
find him for
You should. I don't know. He's like, doesn't work with anybody.
Is he still doing interview? No, I'd want to do a podcast.
Try.
Okay.
He's somebody you want to talk to. Many lives, many masters.
Oh, yeah, I've heard of that.
Okay, so
yeah,
that's
yeah,
Dr.
yeah.
Brian Weiss.
Okay, yeah.
And I bring him up because there's a phenomenon that he sees that I've actually seen before I did his things and after. And it ties right into how everything's happening at the same time. So let's assume in a past life, somebody slit your throat, like just in a war, whatever. And in this life, you come in with asthma because of that.
Right.
That happens a
Right.
lot.
Yeah.
Well, interestingly enough, and I've seen this with my own 2 eyes on somebody I know, so I know it can't be fake. She went through a regression. She remembered, I gave this example because that's literally what she remembered. She had asthma. She remembered the situation. The moment she became aware of it, she never had the asthma attacks again.
Oh, holy shit.
So there's something having to do with when you become aware of the root of the issue and where it stems from, and you can remember it, the problem dissipates and disappears. Almost like
Wow.
if you're in a dark room and you turn on the lights, there's no more darkness. You don't
Right.
need to fight it. You
Right.
just turned on the light.
Right.
So the second the light gets turned on, you remember, the problem goes away. And that happened to me with my shoulder, where my shoulder kept dislocating. Worked with a good friend of mine. His name is Damien. He doesn't do past life regressions, but he works with you in several different dimensions, if you will. That's the best way I can explain it. And he didn't know anything about me. And him and I sat down. I was 18 years old. This was right before I started making my opening to a new life. And it was the last time something happened to my shoulder, and there's a reason why it was the last time. And I'm convinced this is the reason. When we were sitting down, amongst other things, he says, I'm getting he told me a few things. He said, number one, in your past lives, you were either very, very wealthy or very, very poor. And you were either very, very good or very, very evil. And in this life, thank God I came on the good side. But he literally said that. He said, you've lived both extremes, not a little bit on each side, both extremes on both sides. And he said, in one of your lives, and this just resonated with me, and that's why I'm sharing it. He said, in one of your lives, I'm feeling this, and his eyes are closed, and he kind of looks weird when he's doing it. And he goes to me and he's like, I'm seeing you were like somewhere there's a desert, somewhere in the Middle East, maybe, I don't know. And you were standing up to the authorities, to like the whatever, and they didn't like you. And he said, I've done that many lifetimes. And I've done the opposite, where I was the authority imposing the negative on the people, both sides. And he said, I'm feeling this situation. I'm seeing this situation where you're standing up and they're like humiliating you and torturing you in public. And how did they do it? And this, now I'm getting the chills again, freaked me out. And I'll tell you why. He goes, I'm seeing horses, and the horses were tied by ropes to each of your limbs. And they would take the horses and they would have the horses move in each direction to dislocate your joints. Now, he could have looked me up or spoken to somebody and knew that I had shoulder dislocations. But exactly what he said was my recurring nightmare that I even forgot about from when I was 5, 6, and 7 years old.
Whoa.
And I never told anybody.
Whoa.
And the moment, again, the chills. And the moment he brought that to my attention and there was just this click, it never happened again.
Damn, dude.
Yeah.
All right, I got a past life thing for you. Actually, I did have one. I wasn't brought through a regression, but I did have one experience in life where, I don't know, I guess I saw visions, not even one past life, but just, it was like, it's like when you hear people tell stories about how their life flashes before their eyes, and they see every second. It was like that, but it was like multiple lifetimes. So I did have that, which was kind of, well, I guess you couldn't call it proof, but it made a lot of things in my life make sense, put it that way, without telling the whole story. But I've always had this irrational phobia of going to prison. Like, that to me has always been the single scariest thing imaginable, like more so than death or anything that you could imagine happening. I am terrified of prison. I've always thought that I must have been locked up at some point. Like, it's just the thought, like, I can't even conceive of being in a cage.
I have the same thing with buried alive.
Oh, really? Interesting. I mean, no one like wants to go to prison or be buried alive, right? But I mean, everyone kind of has the things they're afraid of, and I'm not afraid of that many things. But that one, you got me, man. To the point, even when I was a very lawless kid, well, not just kid, but into my mid-20s, and I was an addict, I was like abnormally careful about not getting busted on the street. Because I just watched all my friends. I mean, I don't know if you can call them friends, but let's say drug buddies. I mean, everyone always got arrested and thrown in LA County jail and shit out on the street, scoring drugs and stuff. I was like Jason. That was like the Jason Bourne of junkies. You know what I mean? I was so fucking good at not getting busted, knock on wood. I don't do that kind of stuff anymore. But it's like, I used to just think, you dumbass, like all you had to do, I think I talked about this on the show the other day. People go to you had to go to downtown LA to cop, like if you wanted certain things like heroin. People go down there and you're dope sick, right? So it's like every second counts. Like you can't wait to get that in your body. And people
Wow.
that I knew, like homies, would go down there and then just pull the car over and use right there, like at the dope spot,
Whoa.
and get busted. And now you're dope sick in county jail.
Just out of curiosity, like heroin.
Yeah, yeah.
Wow.
Whereas if you just waited 20 minutes to drive back to your place in Hollywood, you could use, at will. But things like that, I'd be like, dude, but some people don't think it's that big of a deal to go to jail. If someone got arrested, they'd be like, oh yeah, whatever, I got bailed out. It's like, I'm like, dude, you were in jail? I've had people on the show that did time in prison for different things too, and I'm like, tell me all about it. Like, how do you hang? And even people that have been to prison are like, it's not fun, but it's not as bad as people think. It's not like the movies, you're not getting raped or whatever, It's like, I don't care. I don't care if it's like 5-star Ghislaine Maxwell prison. Like, you lock me in a goddamn room, I cannot do it.
No.
So I think there must be a past life thing. My mom has a phobia. I don't know if she still does, but when I was a kid, she had a legit phobia of snakes. And catching snakes was one of my favorite hobbies. I couldn't bring snakes home. Even I brought a legless lizard home once, and she's like, nah, I ain't having it. It's too close to a snake.
There's a connection somewhere.
Yeah, so I've always thought, she must have had an experience with snakes, and I must have had one with prison, and you with being buried alive.
Me with tight spaces, tight, dark spaces. Ooh.
You trip?
No, like it's
It's bad?
Yeah.
My wife, Allison, has that too.
Like I've been to caves and I could see the other side. It's very clear, but I have to go through this very tight space. I was just in, where was it? Croatia. And this was the scariest, it's not even a big deal, but it was the scariest thing I've ever done in my life. Not only it was a tight space, not only it was dark, it was underwater.
Oh, dude.
Oh, and it was like 4 feet. But
that's
dude,
that's hairball.
My body, my heart was like, but I'm like, I got to do it. Like I got to face this right now.
You went through with it?
I went through it. I'll never do it again, but I did it.
I got one for you. And then I have so many other things I want to talk to you about. So last year I was out of the country. Let's just put it that way.
Mm-hmm.
I got to be a bit cryptic out of respect to things. So I'm having some plant medicine experiences, right? I'm on this kind of pilgrimage. And one of the places was in a sacred site. And we were going to be there 2 nights. And this particular site has all of these underground catacombs and labyrinths and stuff, right? It's a really ancient site. And so I knew we were going to be there. I was excited about it, whatever. So the first night, was, I didn't know this, and I don't smoke weed. Like, I don't use cannabis recreationally. No problem for people that do, but I was like a big stoner. So when I got sober, like, weed is off the table, right? Because it was a big problem for me. So they, we were in the ceremony, starting the ceremony, and the shaman's like, we're going to be working with cannabis tonight. And I'm like, not like a relapse thing, but I'm just like, I don't know. Like, I don't do that, right? It's been 28 years since I've been high, right? Except for one mishap with some gummies here. Which is another story. It was accidental and it was not fun at all. But I mean, as far as like intentionally using cannabis to alter your consciousness, had been 28 years. And so it was like a oil, right? An extract kind of oil that, he made in the freaking jungle or whatever. So he's like, 2 to 4 drops will get you there. And I'm like, okay, I'm just going to do 1 drop. Literally, dude, I took 1 drop under my tongue. We end up at this site and it gets dark and they're like, cool, we're going to go into the temple. I'm like, great. We get in, there's like a little, like passageway into this kind of labyrinth, and there's no light at all. It's totally dark. And all of a sudden I'm like ducking down and they're like, you got to hold someone's hand and then you got to keep one hand above your head. It's a really tight space. And when I say no light, dog, I'm talking
dark.
as dark as it can possibly be.
Like your eyes are open and it looks like they're shut.
Like
Yeah.
when you're in a float tank. It's
Yeah.
like that. And the cannabis starts to hit me. I get super paranoid. You know what I mean? Like I'm up in my head. I'm thinking we're going to die in there. I was terrified. But you know, what are you going to do? You're not going to be the guy that's like, I'm scared. You know, it's like, we're here, just go through with it. So anyway, we're in there and I'm finding my way. My heart's beating. My head's going a million miles an hour. I'm stoned as shit. I don't like the feeling anymore, which was good to learn because that used to be like my lifeblood was smoking weed. I mean, that was my medicine. I was like, this sucks, never doing this again. But here we are. I'm in this dark thing. And I remember sitting in there. I was like, and I started getting paranoid. Like the second night was like the real medicine. We were going to be drinking wachuma, you know? And
what is wachuma?
San Pedro cactus. It's mescaline,
Yep. Okay.
Right? Which is a beautiful medicine and very like dose dependent. A little bit of it is very gentle. A lot of it can be like LSD, you know?
Okay.
So I don't know how much they're going to serve us, right? So I'm in there and I get up in my head and I'm like, oh, fuck. What if tomorrow night they try to bring us in here on the wachuma? I'm like, I'm terrified. I'm like, oh my God. I mean, I can't do that. Like, this is already too much. I'm maxed out at this point. If you were on like stronger medicine than one drop of cannabis oil, it could be a really bad scene. So I'm getting all paranoid and then we get out, whatever, everything's fine. And then we're back at the spot. And I told my group, I was like, oh my God, you guys, I was getting so paranoid in there. I started thinking this crazy thought that they're going to bring us in there tomorrow night when we're on the wachuma. Isn't that ridiculous? I can't believe I was thinking that. We're all laughing like, oh yeah, like that would never happen. You know where the story's going next. Next night in a hugely, like a deep, deep medicine space, we're going back in. And so I went in and like faced those fears, that kind of fear of confinement and darkness, like real claustrophobia. Interestingly enough, it wasn't as bad the second night because I was so high that it's like there was no space to even be afraid, right? And I was in my body instead of my head. It's just a different, it's a different plant, and so the way it interacts with me is much different. But talking about like, fear factor that show's back on now. That was like,
is it back?
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah, with Johnny Knoxville hosting it. Yeah.
No way. Yeah.
But I watched that show and I'm like, most of the shit I feel like I can do. The only one that gets me is like the bugs. That's where I'm out. The bugs. Cover me in like boa constrictors, jump off a bridge. Do whatever you want.
Yeah, never bugs. Eating a live cockroach.
The cockroaches, bro.
Like, I just can't do that.
Yeah. No so anyway, I digress. But it was a funny story and a funny trip, and just one of those situations you're in where you're just like, this is my life. Like I actually volunteered to come have these kind of experiences where it's so unpredictable and spontaneous and sometimes terrifying and ultimately rewarding. So I would not try that at home, kids. Don't go in an enclosed space after taking cannabis for the first time in 28 years. It was not fun. But I live to tell the tale, and hopefully I'm a better man for it. Two topics I want to talk about, and then I want to talk about the light system sitting here in front of us, because I'm obsessed with this shit, dude. I keep this thing next to my desk. I've had it for about a week, and it's always on, and I always want to sit right next to it. I just looking at it. I love looking at it, but we'll get into that in a minute. Two things I want to talk about are remote viewing, and these could be short because I don't know what you know about it. Remote viewing. And also mind control, like MK Ultra stuff. These are two things that I find really fascinating. Back in the day, maybe 20 years ago, I got these audio programs from a place called the Monroe Institute, Dr. Bob Monroe, and they were called hemisync, hemispheric synchronization, right? And now I use things like that that are based on that same premise. But I was learning about this place and always wanted to go on a retreat there because I wanted to learn how to do remote viewing. It's just one of those things that ended up on the bucket list and I never did it. So
in Virginia.
Yeah.
Yep.
So there's that. And not that that's the only place that has anything to do with remote viewing, but I think that's when I first became aware that it was a legitimate phenomenon that like wasn't only the CIA or whatever. It's like, no, like regular people that aren't nefarious actually learn how to do it too. Because that whole idea is super trippy in the context of how we were just talking about time, right? It's like, okay, if I'm remote viewing and I'm going to downtown Austin right now and I'm here in a meditative state and I'm dreaming and I go, okay, now I'm in downtown Austin. It's like, when am I there and when am I here? Anyway. And then the other thing is mind control, you know, the MK Ultra thing, which they claim to have stopped doing in the 70s or whenever it was. To me, the entire social media
It
landscape
is mind control.
with the blue light, the flicker rate, I think it's just, it not only didn't stop, it's just been
It's evolved
scaled.
in masterful ways.
It's been scaled. You just look at what happened with the pandemic and the way people were brainwashed, like within 24 hours to start walking around with a diaper on their head. I mean, it's just like, what is like, how are we so susceptible to this? So what do you know about either of those two very vast topics?
Yeah. So remote viewing. I've worked with remote viewers in the past. As a matter of fact,
Like to learn how to do it yourself?
no.
Okay.
So quick story. Before I started doing the work that I was doing, that I am doing now, I had this really unique document in my possession that had a lot of out there information that I was given by somebody. And I was reaching out to everybody. And this was before I had any platform or anything of like, who can give me a platform to share this? Because this can help a lot of people, or at least I felt. And one day I was watching Gaia. And at the end of one of the episodes, it says, do you have information that you want to share or whatever? Email us here. So I emailed. And I got in touch with a producer of one of the shows. Today, he's a very good friend of mine. And at the time I was 22, I think, 22 years old. And I sent him this document. And in my head, I'm like, listen, like nobody's going to believe me. Like
Where'd you get this document?
From an individual who prefers not to share who he is, but
okay.
he gave it to me with the understanding that I could share it so long as
Anonymously.
you kind of keep his name out of it.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it was more about like ancient Egypt and past life memories and things like that. And I found it to be very valuable information. I thought it was very interesting. So I wanted to get this out there and I try to find who can help me get this out there a few years ago. And I get in touch with this producer. We're talking back and forth and he emails me after I sent in the document. This was before I published it to share with the world. I sent him the document. I showed him whatever I could. And to my surprise, he messages me back one day and he's like, you're in, we're bringing you on for a show. So I called him and I'm like, without revealing his name, he's just a producer on their team. I'm like, listen, I have a question for you. Just like out of like, just curiosity. How do you know I'm not making this shit up? Like, how do you know? I'm 22 years old. I could just be a random kid coming up with something. How do you know? And why are you comfortable with bringing me onto the show? And he said, well, I have a friend. This is what he said. I have a friend named Patricia. She's a remote viewer based out of Canada, Alberta, Canada, that works with the RCMP, which is like the Canadian Police FBI force, whatever. And whenever the RCMP cannot get or find a missing body, they call her. And she's found 30 of them for them.
What?
30 missing bodies for them.
Holy shit.
For remote viewing. And I said, okay, so what's your point?
Dude, if she found 30 out of 1,000, that would be impressive.
Crazy. So I said, okay, so like, what's your point? Why are you telling me this? And he said, well, because in the document that you gave me, it talks about certain objects, very specific objects, buried underneath a certain geographical location. So I called my friend up, Patricia, he called her up and he said, I didn't tell her anything other than here's the longitude, here's the latitude. Tell me what you see. And she came back with exactly what was in your document.
Whoa.
So I know that there's something going on here. I'm like, okay. So I don't know what to say about that, but let's do it. And that's how it all started. Then I started connecting with Patricia. She's helped me with a few things as well. She actually, longer story, doesn't matter now, but she found things for me in very unique ways. So I know remote viewing is very real. The CIA uses remote viewers. There's an operation called Operation Sunstreak, I think it's called. CIA in the 90s and early 2000s, if I'm not mistaken, got like 40 different remote viewers to remote view the Dome of the Rock in Jerusalem, seeing what's under, having to do with the Ark of the Covenant, a lot of cool things.
Wow.
So remote viewing is something that the CIA uses. And if the CIA uses them, you know it's not nonsense. They make us believe it's nonsense, but there wouldn't be classified projects with remote viewers if they were all full of shit. So that's number one. Number two, you're asking me about the topics that I actually have a lot of experience with. MK Ultra. You know who Kathy O'Brien is?
I've heard the name.
So she's also a
Yeah.
good friend of mine. I've interviewed her a few times, done a few podcasts with her. She made claims, which I believe wholeheartedly, of how she was trafficked, her and her daughter, connected to Dick Cheney and the Bush family and the Clintons and so on and so forth. Today, I think she's 70 years old, if not older.
Wow.
And she's written books of all of her experiences. And you got to ask yourself, why wouldn't Bush and Cheney go after her? Because if they went after her, they don't want to go after people like that. Let her look crazy.
Yeah.
And we're just going to, do our thing.
It's like when nobody sued RFK when he wrote the Fauci book.
Yes.
It's like,
Because it's true.
yeah, there's like, oh, he's crazy. It was like, well, why don't you sue him? You don't want discovery or something? You know? That's funny.
So long story short, MK Ultra, they say it started in 1953, I think, ended in 1972, something around those dates. I agree with everything that you're saying. That was just their testing ground, and they admitted that they did it. You think I know you don't think this, but you really think what they learned from those 20 years, they're not doing now, they're doing it all the time. And that's what our mainstream media is based on. That's what our music is based on, and the hertz that everything is tuned to. That's what everything's based on. And by the way, they're doing a hell of a job. Look what they did during the 2020 situation. You tell me how you can get 6 billion people, because that's how many people went and got that thing. 6 billion people to go and take a medical intervention that was never tested, and that a lot of people that took it were saying is dangerous and here are my side effects. And yet the world still did it. You got to really be smart. You got to really be a mastermind. That's not something you plot in a few years. That's decades of research to execute perfectly. And they executed it flawlessly. They really did. They're evil, but they're smart. And that's the problem.
Yeah.
And one thing we can learn from them with MK Ultra and everything else, the reason why they've been so successful in taking over the world is because they do so as a united front. And they do their best as a united front to divide us.
Yeah.
And when we're divided, we're weak. When they're united, they're strong. Unfortunately, it's strong for the wrong reasons. That's, by the way, why I created the nonprofit that I have. It's called Unified. And it's to bring people together from the perspective of media to the perspective of technologies like this to wellness centers and so on and so forth, so we can come together and do exactly what the other side is doing to us in principle, meaning unite and attack.
Yeah.
And in our case, you don't even need to attack. You just need to stop doing something.
Yeah.
No guns, no violence, no war. Just say no. Very simple.
Well, I've heard you talk about, my all-time favorite teacher, David Hawkins.
Yeah.
Right. It's like when there's just two of us sitting here and we look at the problems in the world and all of these psychotic people that have managed to wrestle control over every institution on the planet. It's like, oh, what can we do about it? Like, we don't have any power, but from Hawkins' perspective on consciousness and the map of consciousness, and I know you know about this because I heard you talk about it, is say one person that calibrates at 700, and someone that's enlightened.
Counterbalance.
Right, because the logarithmic scale, right, that one carries more power than 1 million people or 100,000 people, whatever it is. I forget. I mean, I've listened to thousands.
I think it's like 70 million people.
Yeah.
You're at 700.
So it's like, it actually doesn't take as many of us.
It's called critical mass.
Yes.
So a small amount of people vibrating very, 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 very high. I'm nowhere near that. It's to get to a level 700. I hope that in this lifetime I can do it, really.
Well, a lot of humans that don't choose to stay in their body. He would talk about that. It's like at different stages where he hit, he was like, yeah, this is totally optional. I guess I'll hang out, but it's like you could just kind of poof and decide to evaporate, and leave here, which I'm sure a lot of mystics do because they fulfilled whatever karmic goals they had, right? So it says a lot if someone sticks around like a true mystic, like a true avatar.
You got to be a real angel.
If they stick around here when they've learned the game, right?
It's like you've already reached that and
you've won the game.
Whoa.
You already like went to the highest level of Donkey Kong. You beat the game.
But you know what
you're like, all right, I'll stay here and teach some of these other kids how to get up some other levels.
I think the reason why is because in their world there is no I.
Mm-hmm.
when we say they beat the game, the level they're at, there is no them or me and you.
Right. Right.
So if you didn't beat the game and I'm where I'm at, let's say at 700 or 800 or 1,000, I did not beat the game until I get you from 200 to
Right.
X.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like,
yeah,
it's just different consciousness. It's like looking
I'm
at
still selfish. I think like I'm peacing out.
it's like looking at the river from the perspective of the canoe and like where you are, or looking at it from a 30,000 foot view.
Right.
You're going to take actions differently if you're looking at it from that perspective than this perspective. And sometimes when you're from this perspective, the actions from this perspective won't make sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because more time needs to unfold for this perspective to see it.
Yeah.
That's faith.
That's awesome. You just reminded me of one of my favorite quotes that I heard from someone sitting in that chair as we were talking about, that there is no other, this idea, right? That there's no I ultimately. And they quoted Ramana Maharshi, and someone was interviewing him and asked him like, well, you've reached this level of development, consciousness, etc. I mean, how do you deal with people in the world, or how do you deal with other people? You're fine, but like, what about the other people? And he said, there are no other people. I was like, nailed it. That's so good. So good. I'm just
true.
like, oh God, man, if one could take that principle, right, and just live by that, imagine what the world would be.
A much more beautiful place.
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, I try to remember that, when you're in traffic, you're like, this little guy, it's like, I'm flipping myself off.
Yeah.
Right. It's like, I used to have really bad road rage like 6 months ago. No, like long time ago. Dude, I used to like fire bottle rockets at people out of my car, throw bolts at them. I mean, I was in LA.
It's such a different consciousness.
I was psychotic, and I'm not proud of that. It's hilarious actually in a way, because it's like, I don't know when the last time was. I bet I'm going to be honest, in the last 5 years, let's say, I've probably flipped someone off once, because I don't think I've never done it. Probably once, maybe twice, right, in years, where just like the moment hits and you're just like, I can't resist.
On the road though.
But when I've done it, I'm like, I know, even in that moment that I lost control, I'm like, you're literally flipping yourself off.
Yeah, like,
that's you in the Honda right there. Yeah. You're hurting yourself, right?
I really like, sometimes, I don't know, maybe I'll drive and the person thinks I cut them off. I didn't even mean to. They come and they're like screaming and cursing, and I'm just looking, and I don't mean to piss them off. I'm really just like, it makes me laugh. Because I'm like, why did you just choose to scream at me and ruin your day?
Yeah, ruin their day. Exactly.
Yeah, you ruin your own day.
Yeah.
So I've come to a point where whenever that happens, because it happens, you're on the highway, people scream at you, whatever, I bless them silently. So I hope you have a good day. But I can't help but laugh. It's funny. It's funny.
One of the ways I learned how to not be an asshole on the road was because I used to, as I said, I was just like road rage nuts. I mean, I used to have people chase me off the freeway and shit, because we'd be, like those assholes in the Tokyo Drift little cars, on the freeway. Yeah. It's like
the ugly ones that are loud.
Yeah. I didn't have one of those, but that's how I drove. You know what I mean? Everyone's seen like that guy on the freeway where he's just like, I would do that and sometimes piss someone off, and then I'd like box them in, like passive aggressive, like make them so they can't go fast, just psycho shit. But one time I just, instinctively flipped someone off out my window at a stoplight in LA. And I look at, actually my girlfriend at the time looks in the rearview mirror. She's like, dude, that guy has a gun. Like, go. Fucking dude behind us. I flip him off. I'm stuck at the light. He gets out of his car with the piece, dude, and is like walking up to the back of the car. So I, of course, find a way, I bolt, like in between traffic and stuff, and dude chasing us around town.
Oh my God.
So I'm just like, you never know, like what kind of psycho is on the other end of your middle finger. It's even if, it's good to just not do that in general, but it's really dangerous too.
But be careful. Yeah.
You never know. You never know who you're talking shit to, man.
And you don't know what they have to lose and what they don't have to lose.
I have a friend here in Austin who's like thin. I mean, maybe like almost as tall as me, very thin guy. You'd never walk by him and be like, whoa, don't mess with him. He's like a gazillion belt. and like knows how to kill you in 2 seconds, boom, right, that one shot to the throat and you're dead. Like he's a deadly weapon and you would never know that, it's like hearing his story, but he's super peaceful, good guy, but he just, he knows how to hold his own. And so meeting him and hearing some of his stories, I'm like, I mean, not that I would talk shit to anyone anyway, but he wouldn't be a guy I'd be afraid to talk shit to,
and he could destroy you.
Yeah, he could literally like come twist your neck off. I was like, really wanted to get to this earlier. We're 2 hours in, so forgive me, people watching on the video. They're like, will you talk about the thing there? It's really cool looking. So this is light systems, of which you're, an advocate, and I've seen you talking about it. And when I saw this on your social, I was like, oh man, I've been like interested in this technology for years, to the point where maybe 2 years ago, I was like, I got to find whoever invented this. I got to find this. I got to try it. I want to get one. I know Tony Robbins has some technology like this. He's always like a good testing ground, someone that can afford to buy shit like this and try it out. And he seems to be a fan. So I found a center in Austin. At one point, I've been there a couple times and just basically meditated with these devices and was immediately hooked. It's the place that has it here is quite far away. It's like an hour away. So I think I still have credits there I haven't used. When I found out that you could get these in your house, I'm like, I'm in, done. And as I said a few minutes ago, I literally don't want to be away from this thing. And I got a house full of really cool technologies and frequency devices and all this, from PMF to lasers to just like a lot of stuff, because it's my passion. This thing sits next to my desk. I'm freaking obsessed with it. I know very little about how it works. I just know that it feels really good to be near it. And so that's like my only experience.
100%.
When I first heard about it, I think I remember hearing something about scalar wave generation, which I kind of understand. I have some EMF devices that work in that capacity. So tell us like what you know about the light systems, how you discovered it, whatever you want to share, because it's something I'm really interested in learning more about since I love it already.
First of all, it's really cool to hear that ever since you got it, you're like next to it and feel so magnetically pulled.
Well, the thing is, the thing is made like a freaking tank, which is super cool. I mean, you can't tell on camera, but it's steel, dude. The whole thing's welded together. So it's really hard to move around the house.
Yes.
Otherwise, I would just take it whatever. I would sleep with it, honestly. I put it up here because you were coming on the podcast, but I'll probably just keep the damn thing here when I do podcasts.
It's like I like to refer to it in my own words as medicinal art, because it's art.
That's cool. Yeah,
that has a function, and it's a function that some people understand, some don't, but I like making it as simple as possible. So number one, there are more and more technologies like this that are emerging because now people are starting to get with it. They're starting to get with the program. Take red light therapy. It used to be weird. Nobody did it. There was like one guy doing it. And then it started getting more traction. Now, what used to be called insane is super accepted all around the world, or almost all around the world at this point. So what you're looking at here, without all the mumbo jumbo, I want to make it as clear and simple to understand as possible for the layperson, because I think me and you are the layperson as well.
Yeah, I'm just like, I just feel good next to this thing. I was like, it's all I need to know. Yeah.
So I'll give a brief history. The inventor behind the technology, behind the light system, it was actually called something else. The code that powers this, which is really the essence of the technology outside of the hardware, it's the software that's running on this, was originally called the synchronicity engine. And it was developed by a man named it was developed by a man named Robert Religa. And I will say, and I want to make this clear, most people, they see what this technology can do and they're like, oh, who's the doctor and scientist that did this one? This guy is neither. Normal guy back in the 70s, 80s. Today he's like 74. So around the 80s, because I did a podcast with him as well to understand who are you? What's your story?
I want to watch that.
And by the way, you're going to see it is not the guy that you think would be behind something like this, because this is what he is. He's a programmer. He's a programmer that started getting in his early 20s into spirituality and meditation and things like that. And he was really excited, and what really interested him was transcendental meditation. And at the same time, he wanted to find out or find a way to make it more efficient. Instead of sitting here and putting so much effort to figure out how to do this with transcendental meditation, what if there was a way to, this is a question he asked himself, what if there was a way to create some sort of program or code, because he was a programmer, what if there was a way to create some sort of program or code to be able to help catalyze the process of diving deeper into states of meditation faster without all the effort? That was his original intention. It was never to help people with ailments or diseases or anything like that. Now, naturally, what happens when you meditate and you clear your vessel and you clear your mind, your body starts rebalancing itself. The pain goes away. The hair grows back. The eyes get better, and so on and so forth. But again, the guy's not a scientist, not a doctor, really good programmer with an interest and infatuation with meditation. That was how this was born. So what you're looking at here in terms of the original code is 30 years old. It's like 30 something years old. And over time, what started as like, I guess his first version, he kept building and building and building on top of it. But I want to explain this
that's cool. That's
to
cool.
make it simple.
It's funny because when you boot it up, there's like a little hard drive in the back, right? Yep. When you boot it up, it looks like, you know, a Windows PC from 1989 or whatever, you know? Yeah. I'm like, this is cool.
So this has been around for quite some time without the proper, I mean, he's not a marketer, you know, he doesn't know how to get it out there. He's a programmer. And that's usually how it goes. You know what I mean? You have the really good programmer, but doesn't know how to bring anything to market, just knows how to create.
What's funny, sometimes, because I love finding the inventors of things like this and putting them on the show and helping them market if they've done something legitimate and cool. Sometimes when the nerdy inventor is not the greatest public speaker, they'll send someone else in their stead who's like the CEO, who's like got a great personality and can, you know, describe the thing. But every once in a while, there'll be two of them, which is really, is really fun for me as the host, right? Because I can kind of get the, you know, the more salesy, like, you know, elevator pitch on it from someone that's more in like the business side of it. But then I can like, for the geeks listening that understand, you know, science and engineering and physics and all these kind of things, like I love being able to give the audience that perspective too.
100%.
You know, which is really, which is fun.
So from a light standpoint, think red light therapy, only full spectrum light, visible light, full spectrum visible light therapy, red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, violet. So this is one program, but there are up to 250,000 programmable combinations. What? Yes. 250,000.
Dude, you gotta show me how to use this thing. I'll show you. Because it didn't come with the manual.
They didn't send you a manual?
No. So I was just like, I started fucking around with it and I'm just like, I don't know, it's doing something, but I only know how to get to the first 20 items in the menu or whatever.
I'll show you everything.
So
it's
I'm
really
just like,
cool.
I don't know. And I can't really read it because it's kind of pixelated,
yes,
you know? So
yes. But if you take your phone, you'll be able to read it perfectly.
Okay.
So there's 4 sets of linguistics, 16 different programs, 64 different colors, 2 different fonts. Let me explain what that means. First, elevator pitch in 15 seconds, law of synchronization with your environment. When you create a coherent environment of energy, you synchronize with that coherent energy. This is creating a coherent energy for your body to synchronize with, creating a coherent environment for your body to synchronize with. Now, how does it do it? Number 1, linguistics. Linguistics, as we know, Dr. Masaru Emoto with the water experiment. Positive affirmations lead to structured water. So restructuring the molecular formation of water in the body. What you're looking at scrolling here looks like a code because it's in a different font. But if on that keyboard you click F11, it will turn right back to English.
Oh, word?
These are encoded affirmations that are running on the screen.
Wow.
And there are 4 sets that you can choose from. My favorite set of linguistics that's on this one is called 108 Origins Restoration because it focuses specifically on rebalancing certain organs in the body, certain parts of the brain, certain parts of the body in general. So that's the linguistic that I personally like running, but that's what resonates with me. There are other types of linguistics as well. So you have, number 1, 4 different linguistics. Right now, this is running 1 linguistic, meaning a set of encoded affirmations that are scrolling on the screen. That is synchronizing with your body, literally right now while we're in the room, restructuring the molecular formation of water in the body. The reason why that's important is because energy and electricity flows through those pathways of water. And when you have distorted structures, energy gets stuck, you have what's called a dis-ease. When you have coherent structures, energy flows, you have something called health, energetic balance. When it comes to the colors, color is light therapy. So it's biophotonic light, photons that will interact with the body and your biofield. So different.
And that's happening even if you're not looking at it.
You don't have to look at it.
Yeah.
You don't have to look at it.
I like looking at it.
It's so cool.
Something weird about it. I think I was telling you, like it's in, I keep it in my office, and when I walk by, I'm like, I'll stop and double take.
You want to stare at it.
I'm like, dude, it just looks cool. I want to go in there and just watch that thing.
So with your colors, you have color therapy. And red will do something different than orange. Orange is going to do something different than green. There are whole diagrams that I think they're going to start putting out as the light system to be able to share more of the broad picture with people of like also understanding this. So green is very good for your heart on a physical level and your lungs. Yellow is very good for your digestive system. Red is very good for inflammation, circulation, blood flow, so on and so forth. So you have two layers here.
The ancient Vedic scholars understood there's colors to the chakras, people are familiar with that.
And if you think about
like they didn't just pick those randomly, I would think. There's something to it.
I mean, let's take your third energy center, which is your solar plexus. Why did they make it yellow? Answer is because the optimal frequency of your digestive system is the frequency that you see as the color yellow. So yellow foods, mango, lemon, pineapple, banana, good for your digestive tract.
Bile is yellow. Bile, digestive bile.
Oh, yes, correct. Now green, like green juices. What happens when you do a green juice fast? You're going to cough up a lot of phlegm. It's clearing your lungs. Red foods, cranberries, strawberries, cherries, very good for inflammation. Is it a coincidence or did they know something back then that we forgot?
And the shape of foods too, dude.
Yeah,
I'm sure you've seen that. Like the walnut is good for your brain. It just looks like a freaking brain.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
It's amazing stuff.
But there's no God. It's like, come on.
In short, you're looking at a combination of polychromatic light, which is full spectrum light therapy. You're looking at a combination of biophotonic light, which is interacting with the body, encoded affirmations and linguistics, and then the movement is important. So numerology, numbers, energy, you can actually, I'll show you how to do it, input certain numerology into the system that will change when it changes direction and how it changes direction. You can input the Fibonacci sequence into the movement of light on this to bring you back more into coherence with nature, because that's what nature is, in alignment with the Fibonacci sequence. You can enter your own intentionality into this thing.
Really?
Yes. Control N, up to 64 characters, including spaces between words, entering your own intentionality.
I was wondering why it came with the keyboard.
Yeah.
I was like, well, I just need an on and off switch. I was like, keyboard. I was like, okay.
Right now, the default is a randomizer through all 16 programs that will also randomize speed. That's the default setting, which most people actually like. Most people like the most, I should say.
Then what about the scalar element? Is it emitting energy that is outside of the light component?
So that will be created through something called photonic collision. Photonic collision is when you have light beams directly opposing each other. In this case, you have indirect photonic collision because you don't have a screen opposing it. On the bigger systems, you'll have two opposing screens facing each other with identical light beams, and the identical light beams will annihilate each other, creating a null zone. That's the energy you're talking about.
Wow.
Those systems are more expensive. They're also much bigger. These are more like a fountain of light. It's a little bit different.
So how close would I need to be?
In the same room.
That's it?
That's it.
Dude, the center I went to, where I had like one of the deepest meditations of my life. I mean, it was I think I mentioned a float tank earlier. It was like a float tank. I was just in theta, just drooling for 4 hours. It was amazing. But they have like walls of these things,
yes.
I mean, they're stacks. They look like Marshall stacks, and they're like, and thinking 4 corners. And
so there's some that have setups of 4, some that have setups of 2. The light system's main configuration is 2 points.
Okay.
But you could do 2, 4, 8, 16. You could do up to as many as you want.
I would like to build a small room that has like 10 times more of these than you would ever is realistic. You know, it's like, okay, if one of these things feels good and helps your body go into coherence, I'm just like, well, more is better, right?
What I would do if I were you is I would have a pyramid in the middle.
Okay.
I would have a cube in each corner or a sphere in the middle.
Okay.
The reason why is because specifically with the sphere, because of its configuration, if you have a sphere on the same level, let's say they're all in the same tabletops on the same height, the sphere will have that photonic collision with the light coming off the cube.
Okay.
So with a sphere in the middle or a pyramid in the middle, but the pyramid will be angled a little bit, you will then create an incredible field.
Yeah. Well, when I had that experience, you know, I'm like, all right, well, how much do these things cost? Because as I said, it's a long drive, and I was like, oh, they're not cheap. So it's like, to make the room that I envisioned, I think I priced it out. It was going to be like $100,000 or something. You know, I mean,
talk to Jared, talk to them.
Yeah.
See what they could do.
Yeah, I will do that. But I think someone told me that Tony Robbins has a number of them, you know, and I was like, well, he can afford it. But I'm just like, dude, because you know, you can do overnights and you can like bring your pets in and stuff. I'm like, I don't want to go somewhere. I just want people can come to my house. If a homie needs some support, like, hey, go in that room and just sit there in these lights.
Look, sleeping around this thing, you should try it.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I thought about that and I was like, oh, there's a lot of blue light.
No.
But you just put on an eye mask.
You can switch it to red.
Oh, sick.
You're going to have a completely different experience. Black background, red foreground. You're going to sleep like a baby.
Wow.
I'll show you how to do all those things. I do this in my house. I have it in my house. I have it in my office.
Because, yeah, I have it on at night in my office, but I also have like red, you know, sauna space lights that just give you a lot of infrared.
Yep.
So I wasn't worried about the blue because it's being nuked by the other red lights. But yeah, I thought about, trust me, I was already, if I feel good sitting here for 2 hours, I should put it next to my head while I'm sleeping. And I was like, there's a lot of blue lights. That's good to know.
Your plants will grow better. Your sleep will be better.
Good, because this spot right here, I was telling Jared, our producer here, I've bought like 5 plants for this corner because I like having plants on set. I don't like plastic plants. It's just against my religion. Every plant I put here dies. I'm going to leave it up here for a while. Hang in there, babe. Like, we need a plant on set.
But yeah, plants, you'll see a lot of positive benefits. And it makes sense. It's restructuring water. When you do that, you have great outcomes.
That's epic.
Yeah.
Also, like with technologies like this, I always use our dog as a guinea pig, you know, if she's having some issues, because of course they don't have placebo, right? So I think like working with pets is really interesting with this kind of stuff.
That's what actually got me over the hump of when I was trying to understand this.
Oh, really?
Seeing it with animals. Yeah. And I've seen it with dogs, cats, horses. Horses is a big one too. You can't make it up because there is no placebo.
Yeah.
And when you see that happening time and time and time again, there's something going on here.
When I first adopted my dog, I picked her up from like her spade surgery, and she had this, you know, big wound on her tummy with stitches and stuff. So I started treating her with my laser, like a high-powered cold laser. And dude, that shit, nature, with the assistance of me and that laser, healed that scar in, I want to say, like 3 days.
Whoa.
Like what should have taken, like you would have had to go back to the vet and take the stitches out in 2 weeks or something, or whatever it was. And I was like, holy shit. And it wasn't like her positive thinking, you know, it's like empirical evidence. I was like, holy shit, that's light, man.
Light is the future of medicine.
I agree.
It's what it is.
I agree. Wow, super cool, man. Well, what an exciting and fun conversation. I want to thank you so much for taking the time to join me here today. We're really kindred spirits. I think we have a lot in common on so many levels. It's been super fun. I could keep going 2 hours and 20 minutes. You have a call in 18 minutes. So,
yes.
So I'm going to respect that. But man, come back anytime.
Thank you, Brandon.
And I am going to, I think I'm in touch with Jared, I think is his name, from Light Systems. Yeah. So I think a show with him is in the works too, which will be really fun. So we can, you know, for those that, you know, didn't get to learn about this until the very end, we'll go back in and do a focused episode on that.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Right on, dude.
I want to say thank you. And I had a blast just walking into this space because it's pretty healing.
It is.
And
it's a good vibe. Yeah.
You are healing. You have a very good energy and a calm energy to you.
Thank you.
And with my chaotic days, you really calm me down. So I want to say
love
thank
that,
you.
Man. I appreciate that. It's funny. I hear that a lot from people that sit there. I'm like, you have no idea how psycho I am inside. Like, I get nervous when people are coming in because it's my house too. It's like,
understand.
you want to clean up and like make a good experience for the guests, and I'm managing like my questions and the show notes, and like I always have so much going on. I don't feel calm and chill inside
I
until
understand.
like 30 minutes in or so.
Yep.
But it's nice to hear that. That's like I can feel kind of frantic, but it doesn't necessarily
It doesn't
spill
come
out
off
onto.
at all. On the contrary, I'm more feeling into the energy and not the expression.
Yeah.
And the energy's good,
Cool.
man. Yeah.
Actually, I do have one quick question for you.
Yes.
It's a 3-parter, and you can answer it like rapid style. It doesn't
Sure.
need any kind of explanation. And it is this. I almost forgot, which I hate. I hate when that happens. Who have been 3 teachers or teachings in your life that have contributed to who you are today? Anything from a person to a book to a philosophy, an
Okay.
awareness, understanding, anything.
My father. There's a book called Rays of Light. It's free on my website. That book. And there's a book called The Master Key System, written by Charles something. That
Cool.
right there.
That was easy.
Yeah.
Sometimes people really struggle with this question.
Well, I'm sure if you ask me tomorrow, I can go even deeper. And
No, that's good.
but that would be my.
I'm always
off the
looking
cuff.
for the spontaneous answer. I had my friend Doyle on the other day, and he's heard the podcast a bunch of times, and that question came, and he's like, "Wait, whoa, hold on, whoa, what?" It's like really,
It's a big question.
Yeah.
It's a loaded
Yeah,
question.
I'm like, man, if you've lived some years, it is tough to zero in. But I like the gut reaction, because it always surprises me. So
Yeah.
oftentimes it's someone's parent or something like that, or Jesus or Buddha. But people really throw some curveballs at me, and I'm like, I never would have guessed that. And then we put it in the show notes, which, by the way, for those here at the very end, show notes will be found at lukestorey.com/thelightsystem. There you go. Oh, dude, we didn't really get into, I mean, we'll put it in the show notes, but your unified healing centers, right?
Well, that's actually extremely important.
Yeah.
There's,
dude.
Thank God you reminded me because I wanted to bring that
Yeah.
up. A lot of people are going to want to try this, right? Some people,
Yeah.
before you're going to go and buy something that you're
Yeah.
spending a nice amount of money
I mean, this
on,
thing's $5,000.
yeah,
Right.
you want to go $6,000.
Yeah.
So you want to go and experience it before you go and purchase it.
Yeah.
And that's where my organization comes in. So my organization, it's not so much mine because it's a nonprofit, but I run it. It's called Unified World. And under Unified World, we have a project called
FYD.
UNIFYD.
Yep.
We have a project called Unified Healing. And Unified Healing is a network of wellness centers with what I believe are some of the latest and greatest technologies out there in the world today. Generally energy and light-based technologies. So many. Number one, Unified Healing has hundreds of centers in, I think, 55 countries.
Wow.
Yeah, it's really big.
That's nuts.
And the light system technology is in many of those centers. Not all of them, but many of those centers around the world. So
Epic.
if anybody wants to find those, I'll give you the link as well. That's unifiedhealing.com. There's a whole map with a bunch of different centers, and all the gold pins on the map are all the light system centers.
Rad.
They're all around the world.
I love that. I love that that business model, because many people, including myself, with a lot of this stuff, can't afford to like have it in their house.
And I get that. Yeah.
I've loved the emergence of this business model where people are like, cool, I'll invest in all this stuff, and people can just come in here and
you have a
pay to
few
use it.
people that do have the means.
Yeah.
That also turn it into a business. So it allows them,
Yeah.
it's not like they're just giving something away. They're able to live off of that as
Yeah.
well and build community.
Totally.
And everybody can go and experience it for whatever that individual charges.
Yeah.
Because they're all individually owned. So
Got it.
it's been a really, really cool process with such a journey of a ride going through starting it to where we're at now. And it's really a beautiful network of
Awesome.
beautiful people.
Well, we're going to put it in the show notes, and I'm glad you're doing that. I think that's it's a great service to the world, for people to be able to go experience these things. It's very important, because there's no way out of, like, there's no way to improve upon the system that exists in allopathic medicine, so on, right?
Yep.
So what do you can't tear it down, you can't get rid of it. So what do? You go build a parallel system
Yep.
that is superior, and people are going to gravitate toward that. So
And that's exactly what
yeah.
the focus is.
Yeah, super cool.
Yeah.
All right, dude.
Thank you, brother.